Chapter 927. Meng Yingying was slightly dazed for a few seconds. Her blurred vision became hazy, but she did not resist. She slowly closed her eyes. Tears of joy flowed out from the corner of her eyes. It was strange. Before Meng Yingying met Chu Tian, she could not understand the concept of love. Ever since Chu Tian appeared in her life, her heart was almost immediately occupied by him. This was the first time she had fallen in love with someone. Could this be the so-called love at first sight? This guy was obviously bad, and often deliberately made her angry. She just did not know why, but her life could not escape from his shadow. No matter the time or situation. As long as she followed Chu Tian, she would feel very happy and satisfied. Whether it was eating, sleeping, or even breathing, she would think of him. She felt as if there was an invisible string connected to him. No matter where she went, she would not be able to get rid of her longing. If she did not see him for a day, she would feel very empty. Meng Yingying knew in her heart that Chu Tian had a good impression of her. But she did not have much confidence in herself. Now that this moment had come too suddenly, Meng Yingying was at a loss. She did not know how to react at this time. Forget it, I'll just smash the can. Cool. A light cough. Chen Bingyu appeared on the small hill like a ghost. Although her face was covered so that her expression could not be seen, her eyes were still staring at the two people. Her eyes were filled with a complex and strange color. She immediately said in her usual indifferent tone, "I'm really sorry to disturb you." Meng Yingying jumped up like a frightened rabbit. "Sister Bingyu, it's not like this, it's all his fault, fuck. This woman who appears and disappears like a ghost, actually ruined my good deed. Can you not be so exaggerated? We are in a proper relationship, it's not like we are cheating." Chu Tian casually pulled her over. "Sister Bing, you came at the right time. I have already decided on a date to marry Yingying, shouldn't you celebrate?" Chen Bingyu's expression did not change. "I really have to congratulate you." Meng Yingying was not happy, her hands were on her hips as she shouted, Hey, you pervert, did I agree? You're just talking nonsense. What, after all this time you don't agree? I didn't say I didn't agree, I just think. We are not that old, this is not urgent. No, it's not that we are not urgent, it's just that. Meng Yingying's speech was somewhat incoherent, her face became redder as she spoke. Finally she lowered her head and muttered, "We have to pick a suitable time and opportunity, this kind of abrupt behavior is not good, who would say they want to get married as soon as they arrive? You are really annoying." Chu Tian laughed, wanting to tease her a bit more. "I think, this kind of thing should be discussed in private." Chen Bingyu seemed like she did not want to watch anymore. Luz has made some progress, he needs to take some time out of his busy schedule to solve it. Meng Yingying seemed to have finally found a chance to escape. She quickly seized this opportunity to ask, "What happened? Isn't Luz preparing to establish the shaman religion in the grasslands? How did he encounter trouble?" Chen Bingyu replied, "There are several large nomadic tribes in the western part of the grasslands that have collapsed, most likely because of the war with the southern summer country. Adding in the beast plague that has caused a large number of domesticated beasts to die, the entire tribe has collapsed, forming a large number of refugees. Luz hopes to absorb them and establish his influence." Understood. The Warhounds' plains had always been empty due to internal strife and they had been fighting with the southern summer country for over half a year. The large tribes were suffering and there were many people who did not have food to eat. It was because the Warhounds tribe was in a difficult situation that Chu Tian had the chance to occupy this area. The collapse of several tribes had formed a large number of refugees. Wasn't this a good time for the church to spread their teachings? Luz hoped that Chu Tian could use Miracle Commerce's space warehouse to transport enough food to help these refugees. "Let's dress up properly before we go." Chu Tian's name did not resound in a barbaric place like the Warhounds, but Chu Tian and Meng Yingying were humans in the end. The Warhounds and humans had been enemies for thousands of years, so if they interfered as humans, it would not be good for them. After half a day, the three of them found Luz. The disguise of the three of them was not complicated. They just put on a large and bulky robe and put on masks and gloves, not revealing any part of their bodies. Finally they used some kind of medicine to change their human scent. Luz respectfully cupped his hands to Chu Tian, Sir City Lord. Chu Tian sized up the surrounding situation. Other than Luz leading the shaman priests, there were several forest chiefs maintaining order. There were around 40–50,000 refugees gathered here. This scale was enough to form a medium to large tribe on the Warhound's plains. From the current situation, this number could still increase. All of these people were sick, starving, and emaciated to the point of being skin and bones. They didn't seem like vicious plunderers at all. They were simply a group of homeless stray dogs. The shaman god will guide any beast spirit that has lost its way. Now, let me see the pain you will all suffer. Chu Tian's voice was hoarse and deep, like he had used a voice-changing technique. He first imitated the shaman and faced the tens of thousands of Warhound's refugees filled with longing. He spoke a lot of comforting words in the spirit beast language and then began to examine their bodies. In addition to starvation, these people were also suffering from serious diseases. This was a very malignant parasitic disease. Once it entered the host's body, it would wildly multiply. It would first build a nest in the stomach, then it would invade the internal organs, and finally it would enter the bloodstream. It would wildly absorb spirit energy, finally torturing the host to death. Moreover, contact was very contagious. One person would fall sick and the people they came into contact with would not be able to escape. There was no cure in the Warhound's plains. Defeat, famine, and an infectious disease. These grandsons were truly unlucky. Chu Tian pretended to be mysterious and said a few prayers to the shaman god before leaving this place to make his preparations. What do we do? I think their illnesses aren't light. Meng Yingying lifted her hood and immediately asked, we have several large warehouses in Central State with canned food. I'll contact someone to send it over. No, we won't use canned food this time. Chu Tian wrote down several recipes and a list. Send these to the Central State Laboratory and have them refine the medicine according to the recipe above. Meng Yingying did not understand alchemy, but Yingying had made quite a bit of progress in the past year. She found that these were all very cheap herbs, but since Chu Tian did not say anything, this matter should be easily taken care of. She immediately took out the communication device to contact Central State and had them quickly take care of it. 3 days later. The number of starving people had doubled and they couldn't hold on much longer. Chu Tian pulled 10 large beast carriages over and each beast carriage was filled with large boxes. The shaman priests let out a sigh of relief when they saw this. They quickly shouted out, "Long live the shaman god," causing the Warhound's starving people to loudly cheer. Luz revealed a confused expression. Why were there 10 carriages? There were already over 100,000 starving people here. Now that the news of the shaman sect's redemption of the refugees had quickly spread, it was likely that more refugees would come one after another. How many people could eat with just a dozen beast carriages? It wouldn't even be enough to fill the gaps between the teeth of these people. Open. What appeared in these boxes was not food as he had imagined. Instead, it was potions that had been stored in small jars. This is the divine water bestowed by the shaman god. Chu Tian began to boast again, this divine water can alleviate your illnesses and create large amounts of food for you to pass through. It wasn't just Luz, everyone's faces were filled with shock. It was fine if the medicine could cure illnesses, but could it be used to fill one's stomach? Chu Tian took out a large bronze cauldron engraved with runes from the gourd. This bronze cauldron was a sacrificial tool used by the church, so it added a mysterious color to it. The shaman god said that everything in this world can be used to redeem one's life. Chu Tian said to everyone, I ask everyone to send the grass into the cauldron. The shaman god's divine power will turn the fresh grass into food. Everyone was stunned hearing this. How was this possible? Luz was filled with doubts, but he was afraid of being seen through, so he couldn't directly ask. He could only help by shouting, everyone follow the envoy's words, the shaman god will not lie to his believers. There wasn't much. Grass? There was as much grass as he wanted. The large bronze cauldron was filled with bright green grass in less than 10 minutes. Chu Tian activated the source energy array on the large cauldron and a surge of energy came from the cauldron. It was like all the grass had been thrown into a grass grinder and was immediately compressed into a large paste. Chu Tian acted as if he was a ghost and poured a bottle of medicine inside. In the end, an incredible thing happened. The paste quickly changed and finally turned into something like dry food. It was like it was made from baked grain and it released an alluring fragrance. Pang! Chu Tian sent a palm at the cauldron. The dry rations were all ejected out, scattering among the refugees like a fairy scattering flowers. These refugees had long been starving, and when they smelled the alluring fragrance, they all rushed forward in a frenzy to snatch it. They were extremely hungry, and even if it was shit, as long as they could survive, they would eat it. But what was hard to believe was that not only could the dry food made from grass fill their stomachs, it also tasted pretty good. The most important thing was that when this dry food entered their stomachs, they could clearly feel their bodies getting better. A miracle. This really is a miracle. The warhound's spirit beasts all knelt down in worship. Wasn't this a miracle? Why did the warhounds invade southern summer again and again? Wasn't it to survive? If even the cheapest grass could be turned into dry food, then the life of the warhound's spirit beasts and the warhound's plains would undergo a giant change. You've all seen it. Chu Tian loudly shouted, the shaman god has turned grass into food. Now the entire warhounds and the entire prairies are food. Not only can this food solve your hunger, it can also cure your illnesses. This is a gift from the great shaman god, you won't have to suffer from famine anymore. Luz was filled with admiration towards Chu Tian. If a few hundred tons of canned food were transported here, although the problem could be solved, the cost would be relatively high, and the effect would not be as good. However, he came up with such an unprecedented method, turning grass into food. Just this cauldron alone in this period of time, how many followers could the shaman religion attract? Chapter 928. The Black Moon sect's main hall exploded. Saber chi soared into the sky. The might of this saber almost sent the roof of the hall flying. Two extremely fast figures charged out. One of them was the Black Moon sect's vice sect master Endless Een and the other was a stranger covered in flames that looked like a demon. The two of them attacked each other in the air and the saber chi and sword chi collided, causing an explosion. Hong! The two of them were sent flying, causing the Black Moon sect disciples to cry out in shock. He's evenly matched with the vice sect master. This is a peak expert of the 5 famous mountains. He uses a sword, could he be someone from the heavenly sword mountain? No matter who it is, daring to make a move in the sect's forbidden area is provoking the Black Moon sect. Open the restriction and the barrier, immediately prepare the talismans and bows to kill him. The Black Moon sect was thrown into chaos as countless cultivators prepared to surround him. No matter how high Chu Tian's cultivation was, with the Heavenly Een Mountain sect protecting array and tens of thousands of cultivators working together, he had no chance of resisting at all. Stop! Everyone stop! Meng Yingying shattered the wall with a palm and shouted at the people outside, look who is in our hands. If anyone dares to sneak attack, we'll kill them. The Black Moon sect disciples' eyes almost popped out. The wall of the main hall collapsed and when the dust settled, an incomparably large block of ice appeared in front of them. This ice mountain was completely clear, without any impurities in it. If it wasn't for the light reflecting off the edges and the cold aura, people wouldn't have even noticed the existence of this large block of ice. Ah, it's the elders. The Black Moon sect disciples were stunned to find that the elders they respected like gods were all sealed in a large block of ice. Most of them still had a panicked expression as they ran away. Although there were still signs of life, they were frozen in ice and they didn't have any ability to move or resist. Meng Yingying supported Chen Bingyu with one hand and slapped the block of ice with the other. On the surface of the large block of ice, several small cracks appeared. Stop! Everyone stop! The Black Moon sect disciples quickly stopped their talismans and arrows. Too sinister, too despicable, but how did they do it? These elders were all true spirit realm experts, how could they be frozen in an ice mountain? Meng Yingying looked at the Black Moon sect's gate that was becoming more and more crowded, and her heart was a bit hesitant. This matter was becoming bigger and bigger, she really didn't know how to end it. But this was also good. They would teach the Black Moon sect a lesson first, and Chu Tian's name would spread across the great Zhou country. At that time, no one would look down on them when they went to the other sections. The two of them were about to fight. Endless Yin was the Black Moon sect's vice sect master, so his Black Moon demonic art had been cultivated to the perfection realm. This was one of the Black Moon sect's main inherited cultivation techniques, cultivating extreme Yin Qi, allowing one to transform into demons and ghosts. Therefore, it was very hard to deal with. Chu Tian released the demon god's sword and the flame demon transformation, but he could barely keep himself from losing. Endless Yin was already filled with rage. These damn fellows dared to take a sect elder as a hostage. If this matter was spread, the Black Moon sect would lose all face. The only thing they could do now was to defeat them in one fell swoop and use this person as a hostage to deal with the two women. Profound Yin evil ghost. Endless Yin did not have any thoughts of slowly probing. Since the other side was in the first true spirit layer, although his battle strength was shocking, his spirit energy was too strong. Endless Yin did not need to worry about using his spirit energy, he just needed to use his strongest move to deal with him. More than a dozen ferocious-looking ghosts emerged from their bodies. The ghosts were all wearing similar clothes to Endless Yin, but they didn't wear masks, revealing skeletal faces. They held purple and black ghost-shaped blades in their hands that released a ghostly mist. They flew through the clouds, flickering as they appeared in all directions around Chu Tian. These were not normal undead monsters, rather they were formed from Yin souls refined by the profound Yin demonic technique for over 10 years. Each one of them was not inferior to a true spirit cultivator, and if several Yin source spirits attacked at the same time, even a third true spirit layer cultivator would be in trouble. So powerful. This was the Vice Sect Master's strength. The Black Moon Sect disciples were filled with excitement. With the battle strength of several profound Yin evil ghosts and the Vice Sect Master's own battle strength, it was hard for them to fight against experts of the same level. After all, he was the Vice Sect leader. His position was high and powerful, and he had exclusive access to resources. Putting everything else aside, just the dozen or so vengeful ghosts alone would require a terrifying amount of resources to refine. After cultivating with this kind of status, it was not strange for him to be stronger than ordinary people of the same level. Chu Tian gave a laugh. I'm truly sorry, if you didn't cultivate a demonic art, perhaps you could fight me. Speaking indiscriminately, die. The endless Yin ghost head blade turned into a 10-meter-long blade that slashed out like a dazzling beam. The several dozen profound Yin evil ghosts seized this chance and charged at Chu Tian from all directions. Each person's ghost head blade turned into a dozen-meter-long blade that attacked him at the same time. Chu Tian's path of retreat was completely blocked, so he had no other choice but to block. But, even the sacred light body couldn't block this kind of attack. When Chu Tian was about to be dismembered, the several evil ghosts let out pitiful cries as they exploded one by one. Like smoke, they were all sent to the little white fox, and the little fox swallowed them all in a single bite. What? Endless Yin watched as the profound Yin evil ghosts he had refined for several years was easily destroyed, and he couldn't help revealing a look of disbelief. In this short moment of shock, the blade glow slowed down a bit. Chu Tian's eyes turned white and he obtained innate spatial energy. He jumped out and dodged the attack. Spatial energy. Innate spatial energy. Endless Yin was shocked once again. When he turned around, Chu Tian was already standing behind Endless Yin. The demon god Sword Source Spirit was summoned and the Netherworld Sword's power was released to its peak. Endless Yin did not even have time to send out another slash when Chu Tian suddenly disappeared from the spot. He turned into 8 figures that appeared beside him at the same time. 8 of them were real and 8 of them were condensing an attack, Netherworld clone / Chu Tian did not waste time at all as he used his strongest sword move. Endless Een found 8 dazzling sword glows that charged at him with extreme speed and might. Even with Endless Yin's strength, he could only block 5 of the swords and 3 sword glows fell onto him at the same time. Ah! Endless Een gave a pitiful cry as his protective cultivation technique was broken. Although he wasn't cut into pieces, he was still heavily injured as he fell from the sky. The Black Moon sect's disciples almost collapsed. The sect elder had been taken hostage and even the respected vice sect master had been defeated by the other side. Was the Black Moon sect going to suffer a large loss this time? Chu Tian released the flame demon transformation and grabbed the heavily injured Endless Een, placing his sword across his neck. Meng Yingying revealed a look of joy. There was another heavyweight captive. Then they could properly extort the Black Moon sect. The Black Moon sect was a sect with thousands of years of history, so they must have accumulated quite a bit. It was unknown if they had spatial crystals. Endless Een was still conscious. The sword wound wasn't heavy, but the Netherworld ghost flame was too sinister. His cultivation needed to suppress the Netherworld flame that invaded his body, so he couldn't resist it at all. Do you think you can leave the Heavenly Een Mountains alive like this? Ha, you don't need to worry about this. Chu Tian retreated to the square. He grabbed Endless Een with one hand and waved his sword with the other. Your vice sect master is in my hands now, so let's talk about the ransom conditions. These madmen. They actually wanted to capture the vice sect master to extort the sect. Even if they captured the elder and the vice sect master, would they be able to relax? Once the Heavenly Een Mountains' various restrictions were activated, even if they had wings, they wouldn't be able to fly out of the Heavenly Een Mountain. Once the Heavenly Een Mountain's protective array was activated, it would instantly destroy everything. What confidence did he have to act so arrogantly here? But the Elder and Vice Sect Master were indeed captured. Most of the Black Moon sect's high-level members had fallen into the hands of these people and the Black Moon sect couldn't find a single person to lead them. You call yourself the Great Summer Country's envoy, but I think you are just helpers that woman brought. I'm telling you, the Great Zhou royal family has no hope, they have already been completely destroyed. What kind of storm can a trivial princess cause? Although I don't know who you are, meddling in the Great Zhou country's matters won't end well for you. Endless Een gritted his teeth. This was the only possibility. The Great Summer Country had just been established, so why would they fight with one of the Great Zhou country's 6 famous mountains, the Heavenly Een Mountain? They wouldn't do something like this unless they were crazy. But I'm very sorry. Chu Tian's way of thinking was indeed different from normal people. The Great Zhou royal family's princess. Chu Tian really didn't know Chen Bingyu's identity. The Great Zhou royal family was slaughtered and Chen Bingyu was the only fish that escaped the net. This could also explain why Chen Bingyu wandered alone and finally joined the Nangong family as a guest official in Imperial City, staying with the Nangong family for 10 years. Chu Tian didn't know what was going on, but it didn't matter, he would figure it out sooner or later. He had the advantage now. Chen Bingyu had sealed most of the Black Moon sect's high-level members. With these people's lives in his hands, the Black Moon sect wouldn't take any risks, so there was room for negotiation. The 3 of them were not afraid of the Black Moon sect's people from the beginning. If the situation was bad, the 3 of them could return to Central State City or Miracle City, even taking a few hostages along the way. Unless the Black Moon sect had a powerful existence that could instantly kill the 3 of them, making it so the 3 of them couldn't even activate their transport scrolls, but this possibility was very small. If Chu Tian used all his cards, not to mention Endless Een, even a spirit transformation expert wouldn't be able to instantly kill the 3 of them. Why hasn't the Black Moon sect's true boss appeared? Where is he? Quickly say it. Humph, if the sect master wasn't in closed-door cultivation, how could you be so arrogant? 10 minutes. Chu Tian placed his sword on Endless Yin's neck. Call your sect master out to see me, otherwise I'll cut this fellow. You. No need. When the Black Moon sect's people were filled with rage, a voice came from the sky, I'm already here. Chapter 929. Luz said in a grateful voice, "It's all thanks to Sir City Lord's help that several 100,000 people have gathered over the past 2 days. I think most of them can become shaman believers. We will pick out talented people to train into shaman sorcerers to work for the City Lord. The shaman religion originated from the spirit beasts religion, so there is a high chance of success in this area. With Miracle Commerce's support and the Forest of Chaos experts' help, if you can't succeed even with this." Chu Tian looked at him, "Don't come back to see me, just go eat shit and commit suicide." Luz wiped his sweat. Yes, we will definitely succeed." There was no problem with the Warhound planes. The transport tower couldn't be delayed any longer. At this time, the great Summer King Dongfang Gan contacted Chu Tian. He had already prepared the map and information of the various countries and also wanted Chu Tian's help. He wanted Chu Tian to make a trip to the Great Summer Northern Capital. The Great Summer Imperial City had been moved to the Central State. The former Imperial City had been renamed the Northern Capital, and although it wasn't the capital, it was still several hundred years old and was the #1 city in the north. When they announced their independence as the Great Summer Kingdom, all kinds of trouble came. A large kingdom was not just a name. Once they became a large kingdom, their diplomatic rank would be higher than the small kingdoms. The surrounding small kingdoms would even have to pay taxes to the large kingdoms for protection. There weren't many interactions between kingdoms in this era. Unless it was a subordinate kingdom or a vassal kingdom, there wasn't any geopolitical considerations. However, if there were several powers appearing in the same area, it would affect the interests and influence of those with vested interests. The Warhound's kingdom was a subordinate kingdom of the Eagle Burial Kingdom. There was no other way. The Great Summer Kingdom was an independent kingdom, so how could it be easy for them to become a large kingdom? The surrounding kingdoms all had opinions about the Great Summer Kingdom, but these small kingdoms had limited abilities, so there was no need to care about them. What they needed to do now was to take care of some of the large kingdoms. This did not conflict with Chu Tian's mission. Chu Tian needed to find the incomparably precious spatial crystals, so he couldn't just run to a small kingdom to find them, right? Since it was like this, he would just do it. After obtaining the map and the relevant information, Chu Tian began his visit as a Great Summer Kingdom scholar. "I still don't understand a bit." Meng Yingying sat on the airship. "How did you turn the weeds into food? These are clearly weeds, so why do they have the ability to cure illnesses?" "Actually, it's not hard to explain. The Warhound Plains soil is very fertile and contains a lot of spiritual energy. The grass can raise the herds of beasts on the plains, which means it contains a lot of energy. However, humans and demon beasts have different body structures, so we can't absorb it." Chu Tian paused before continuing. "I just used medicine and source energy arrays to make the grass easier to absorb. It can indeed fill one's stomach and maintain one's life, but it doesn't have high nutritional value, so it's not suitable for long-term consumption." Meng Yingying revealed an expression of understanding. "Then the reason why the food can cure illnesses is because the antidote was mixed into the medicine? There are also times when you aren't stupid." Pay, you're the stupid one." The two of them sat on the airship chatting and playing. Chen Bingyu sat on the side, holding a cup of tea, not saying a single word. Meng Yingying was tired from playing with Chu Tian. "Where are we preparing to go?" Chu Tian opened a large map with the Warhound Plains as the center. There were countries all over the Warhound Plains, with 3-4 small kingdoms in the north. Only these small kingdoms had smaller territories and populations than the southern summer country and had already been annexed by the Eagle Burial Kingdom. So, to the north of these small kingdoms, there was a vast kingdom territory. Although the map couldn't show the entire Eagle Burial Kingdom, just the part that was shown was like a mountain pressing down on the north. The Eagle Burial Kingdom was a spirit beast warring kingdom and the only warring kingdom nearby. Chu Tian had no interest in the Eagle Burial Kingdom and the Eagle Burial Kingdom's sphere of influence. Because of the chaos of war, it was hard for these places to have a mature market, so it was unlikely he could find the materials he wanted. Chu Tian's eyes looked over the large and small kingdoms around the Warhound Plains, finally falling onto a country in the southwest that wasn't small. This country was narrow and long, not too big, but it was a place where several earth veins intersected, therefore it was rich in resources. When Chu Tian saw the name of the country, he immediately thought of the bronze-masked old man he met in the Central State black market. Looking around, there are only a few large kingdoms, this can be considered one. There hasn't been any large disturbances in several hundred years. Although the country isn't large, it is rich in resources, so the country's strength should be very strong. This is a large kingdom that is more worthy of its name than the Warhound's kingdom or the newly formed Great Summer Country. Let's go there. What is the name of its country? Great Zhou Country. Ta. Meng Yingying and Chu Tian didn't have any reactions. Chen Bingyu, who had been sitting quietly, suddenly trembled and the cup in her hand fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. Meng Yingying asked in a strange voice, "What's wrong with elder sister Bingyu?" Chen Bingyu realized that she had forgotten herself. "No, nothing." Meng Yingying's face was filled with confusion and Chu Tian also saw it. Chen Bingyu was hiding some secrets. This woman's background was not normal and she might not even be a Southern Summer citizen. From her reaction just now, could she be related to the Great Zhou Country? The Great Zhou Country wasn't much larger than the Southern Summer Country, but because of its strange shape, it was like a long snake twisting and turning. It allowed it to have direct or indirect contact with the Eagle Burial Kingdom, the Warhound's Plains, the Southern Summer Country, and even the Forest of Chaos. In the ancient era, the Great Zhou Country was a very prosperous land, so there were many precious inheritances and ruins left behind. The Great Zhou Country was built on the inheritances of their ancestors, so there were many sects in the Great Zhou Country. All kinds of inheritances clashed with each other. This was a country of sects, so there was no fixed royal family or noble class. It was mainly the sects that ruled the country. The Great Zhou Country was a relatively close neighbor and also the strongest one. Chu Tian came to visit the Great Zhou Country as a Great Summer Country scholar, and it was best if he could form an alliance with the Great Zhou Country. The Eagle Burial Kingdom dominated the north, so they were always a threat. If the Great Summer and Great Zhou countries joined together and supported the Northern Militant Kingdom as the vanguard, it wouldn't be hard to resist the Eagle Burial Kingdom. At least they could stop them from going south. Of course. It was hard to say if the Great Zhou country would give Chu Tian face. The airship flew tens of thousands of meters in the air, crossing countless deserts and fields before finally leaving the Great Summer country's territory. Ancient cities and buildings began to appear in front of them. The world was large and there were all kinds of strange things. Even human countries had different customs. The Great Zhou country's powers were hidden deep in the mountains and the sects were built in deserted paradise lands. The strength of the cities in the secular world wasn't that strong and most of the cities were just representatives of sects in the secular world. They cultivated elixirs and raised spirit beasts, but in the end they had to pay tribute to the large sects, using this method to obtain protection. They arrived at the Heavenly Yin Mountain. The Heavenly Yin Mountain was one of the Great Zhou country's 8 famous mountains and it was said to be one of the most ancient ruins. One of the Great Zhou country's 6 large sects, the Black Moon sect, a sect that had existed for thousands of years. The surrounding large and small cities were all built around the Heavenly Yin Mountain, belonging to the Black Moon sect's outer sect. Each city in the Black Moon sect's sphere of influence was the Black Moon sect's property. If the Black Moon sect didn't protect them, these people wouldn't be able to survive here. Because of this, the people of the Heavenly Yin Mountain treated the Black Moon sect as their highest duty. Most people would choose to join the Black Moon sect's outer sect as an outer sect disciple. If their talent was good enough, they could enter the Heavenly Yin Mountain and officially become an inner sect disciple of the Black Moon sect, obtaining the Black Moon sect's thousands of years of inheritance. The Great Summer country used states as geographical units. The Great Zhou country used mountain gates as geographical units. This was very interesting. In order to not attract too much attention, Chu Tian decided to ride a normal griffin to discuss the situation. Although he was the Great Summer country's envoy, meeting the Great Zhou country's king was a very troublesome matter. Wah, a griffin. It's actually a griffin. Chu Tian brought Chen Bingyu and Meng Yingying to a place called Yin Gathering City, which should be one of the largest cities near the heavenly Yin mountain. What made the three of them feel strange was that when they rode a griffin here, it immediately caused a stir. It was as if the Yin Gathering City citizens had never seen such a high-level mount before. Meng Yingying was puzzled. The Great Zhou country is a large country, why is a level 2 flying mount making such a big fuss out of nothing? The Great Zhou country's peak strength is concentrated in the large mountain gates. Chen Bingyu said in a low voice, these secular cities only have a few outer sect powers, they aren't that strong. The Great Zhou country's strength was not evenly distributed. This was also a characteristic of sectarian countries. Chu Tian didn't care. When he was about to inquire about the situation, the crowd suddenly separated and a large group of black armored guards charged out. The one leading them was a large fat man wearing a jade robe. What sect are you from? This fat man first looked at the handsome griffin with a greedy gaze and then his eyes fell onto Meng Yingying. He couldn't help revealing a look of surprise and joy, but his voice was very arrogant. Without reporting, why are you charging into the heavenly Yin mountain? Chu Tian wasn't here to cause trouble. He cupped his hands and said, I am a great summer country scholar, I have come to visit a famous mountain in the Great Zhou country, may I ask? Great summer country? Ha! Are you talking about the small country that was beaten half to death by the spirit beasts in the southeast? After this fat man understood where Chu Tian's group came from, his attitude became even more disdainful. These people looked very young and they came from a small country, so they were probably some young master or young miss from that place who didn't know their place and came here. I am an outer sect elder of the Black Moon sect and a deacon of Yin Gathering City. You have entered the heavenly Yin mountain and have broken the rules. Leave this griffin behind and use it as a tribute to the Black Moon sect. Meng Yingying was filled with rage. It had been a long time since someone dared to bully them, this was intolerable. Fatty, why are you so unreasonable? Humph, these are the rules. It's just a griffin, no problem, no problem. Chu Tian patted Meng Yingying's shoulder and comforted her. With his identity and status, he didn't care about a level 2 demon beast. This esteemed elder, can you introduce me to a high-level member of the Black Moon sect? The fat man was a bit shocked. This brat just gave out a level 2 griffin like this. This griffin was worth at least 20 low-grade source stones. Could he have met a group of prodigal children? Chapter 930. 10 figures were carrying a coffin carved out of red crystal. The surroundings were shrouded in a hazy bloody mist as they crossed the sky. The coffin was lifelike, and there were demons and monsters carved on it. A thick murderous aura filled the entire sky, creating a strong sense of oppression. Meng Yingying was a bit nervous, the strongest one seems to be coming out. Chu Tian slightly raised his brows, 1,000-year corpse monster. The 10 people carrying the coffin were not living people at all, they were 10 Yin corpses. They were covered in red corpse hair and were covered in evil red corpse poison, these were all characteristics of corpse monsters. These were 10 corpse monsters with true spirit cultivation, each one being in the second true spirit layer. 10 second true spirit layer corpse monsters were enough to sweep through the Great Zhou country, but what was even more terrifying was that these 10 corpse monsters had clear eyes. 10 pairs of eyes gathered together and it was like they were looking at Chu Tian from afar. Trying to be mysterious. Chu Tian released his mind's lamp divine sense and swept over the corpse monsters. He was surprised to find that the corpse monsters had weak thoughts and spiritual energy fluctuations, which meant that these 10 corpse monsters had a certain level of intelligence. Chu Tian gathered his divine sense and sent it into the coffin in the middle. Hong! The red coffin released a strong divine sense that instantly blocked Chu Tian's divine sense. The two divine senses collided in the air and Chu Tian's divine sense could not break through the other side's divine sense barrier. Not a bad divine sense. A voice came from the red coffin. This voice was not a real voice, but rather it was directly transmitted to people's minds through the mind's lamp divine sense. Just a bit off. Chu Tian had never suffered a loss in terms of divine sense. The Black Moon Sect's master clearly had the same mind's lamp divine sense as Chu Tian. This realm of divine sense could skip scouting and directly affect a target, but what was not simple was that his divine sense was a bit stronger than Chu Tian's. Is that so? Chu Tian's eyes suddenly turned golden, and the divine sense power that was originally surrounding the coffin suddenly condensed into an invisible divine sense sword, which suddenly pierced through the Black Moon Sect's divine sense barrier. That's right, the Black Moon Sect's master's divine sense was a bit stronger than Chu Tian's, but Chu Tian had turned his divine sense into an invisible divine sense sword. The Black Moon Sect's master's divine sense barrier was like a large and fragile bubble that could be broken with a single poke. Ah! The Black Moon Sect's master was hit by Chu Tian's divine sense as he let out a cry of surprise. The 10 corpse monsters carrying the coffin were cut off like puppets and fell from the sky. The large coffin also fell down and slammed into the ground with a deep sound. Chu Tian's face was filled with shock. Because when his divine sense entered the coffin, the Black Moon Sect's master's appearance appeared in front of him. It was actually a meter-tall little girl with 2 braids. She looked to be around 10 years old and had a childish look on her face. There's no mistake. Chu Tian had a puzzled look. The Black Moon Sect's master is a stinky brat. Rude, you're the one who hasn't reached adulthood yet. The coffin suddenly opened and a figure soared into the sky. It was the little girl Chu Tian had just seen, but her face was pale like she hadn't seen the sun in 100 years. Her little body was wearing a large red robe and she looked like a doll, but the Black Moon Sect's master's eyes were dark red, revealing a maturity that didn't match her appearance. I am the Black Moon Sect's 18th generation sect master in spirit. I have been the sect master for 15 years. Greetings, sect master. Greetings, sect master. The Black Moon Sect's cultivators all bowed down. Although the sect master didn't look shocking, she wasn't simple. She was the most outstanding person in the Black Moon Sect in the last 1,000 years. She had cultivated the sect's profound demonic art, demonic corpse technique, and 9 netherworld meditation art to the perfection realm, combining it with her own situation to create a cultivation technique. She named it the Yin Spirit Scripture. This cultivation technique was not inferior to the 6 famous mountains cultivation techniques. So it could be said that although the Black Moon Sect's sect master was the youngest of the 6 famous mountains, she was still a genius of the present age. Chu Tian revealed a smile. This 10-year-old little girl's sect master was indeed a bit older, but she was around the same age as Chen Bingyu. She shouldn't be over 40 years old, but because she cultivated a special cultivation technique or had a special bloodline or physique, she maintained the appearance of a 10-year-old little girl. The 10 corpse monsters all stood up and returned to their sides. Yin Spirit's little body floated up and floated in the middle of the 10 Yin corpses, as if she was weightless. Because she had just suffered a loss, the great sect master felt very embarrassed. Her childish face revealed a fierce expression as she spoke in a childish voice, a trivial divine sense secret technique, this one doesn't care about it at all. Why did you cause trouble in the heavenly Yin mountain and capture my Black Moon Sect's people? Chu Tian understood Yin Spirit's strength. 4th True Spirit Layer Cultivation, Heaven Spirit Realm Strength, perhaps it wouldn't be easy to deal with her. Not to mention that Chu Tian could feel that Yin Spirit's spirit energy was very strange and strong. She most likely had many ancient cultivation techniques and she had cultivated them all to the perfection realm, so her battle strength was even stronger than Clark and the other locals. Chu Tian did not say anything, but Endless Yin said, that black-clothed girl is the great Zhou royal family's princess, they must be here for revenge. Don't worry about us, sect master, please make your move. Meng Yingying had a strange expression. Did these people make a mistake? Revenge for the great Zhou royal family? There was no such thing. Great Zhou royal family. The great Zhou royal family did not have a royal family. In the past, the great Zhou royal family was raised by the 6 famous mountains in the secular world, but who would have thought that this fellow would have a hidden bloodline power? They had been hiding their strength, trying to become the 7th power of the great Zhou country and control the entire secular world. Ian's spirit thought back while saying in a childish voice, "It has to be said, the great Zhou king almost succeeded in the past. 18 years ago, the great Zhou royal family's strength was close to the 6 famous mountains. He only used a few generations to reach this step. This is truly amazing. Bloodline cultivators cannot be underestimated." So it was like this. Chu Tian understood what was going on. Under the lead of the Heavenly Sword Mountain, the 6 famous mountains attacked the great Zhou royal family. The Black Moon sect's master was my master in the past. Although he did not participate in the attack, the royal family's destruction was not the fault of the 6 famous mountains, rather it was them destroying themselves. Ian's spirit said in an old voice, "If you don't consider yourself, you are just a nouveau riche. If you want to challenge the thousands of years of heritage of the 6 famous mountains, what difference is there from seeking death?" Chu Tian nodded. What he said was a bit reasonable. Chen Bingyu furrowed her eyebrows. Her memories of what happened 18 years ago were already hazy. She knew just how powerful the 6 famous mountains were, so she had buried this matter deep within her heart. Although her parents and siblings had been brutally murdered and she had always been filled with resentment, she had never thought about revenge. These fellows must have misunderstood. Chu Tian didn't know about her matter at all. Ian's spirit warned, even if she is the last princess of the great Zhou royal family, the great Zhou royal family has already been destroyed, so she can't give you any promises. This one doesn't know what power is behind you, but if you go against the 6 famous mountains for her, that is not rational at all. Chu Tian shrugged his shoulders. Then how do you want to deal with us? Return the vice sect master, the elders, and this so-called great Zhou princess. Then cut off an arm as punishment and this one will swear on the name of the sect master to let you go. Hey, dream on. Meng Yingying shouted, "We won't hand over big sister Bingyu. If you have the skills, then come and catch us." Ian's spirit was enraged. She had already made a large concession. These fellows still dared to be this arrogant. Chu Tian's eyes turned. Sect Master's corpse refining skills aren't weak, actually having 10 corpse monsters as guards. Only, I don't know how strong these corpse monsters are. Humph, it's more than enough to deal with these 3-legged cats. Since Sect Master says this, then let's play a game. Chu Tian said with a smile, "Actually this one knows a bit about corpse refining, so I'll use my refined Yin corpses to challenge Sect Master's Yin corpses. If Sect Master wins, we'll release them unconditionally, and if Sect Master loses, you'll help us and the great Zhou princess rebuild the royal family. Of course you can refuse at that time and we'll just watch the hostage-killing show. What do you think?" It was like Ian's spirit had heard the funniest joke in the world, immediately breaking out in laughter. The other Black Moon sect people looked at each other in blank dismay. The 10 corpse monsters were in front of them. Was this fellow blind? He actually wanted to compete with the sect master in corpse refining. Could it be that he could take out Ian corpses that were stronger than the 10 corpse monsters? Meng Yingying and Chen Bingyu were a bit stunned, naturally understanding what Chu Tian wanted to do. Chen Bingyu looked at Chu Tian's figure with a bit of disbelief. Rebuild the great Zhou royal family? He wasn't joking, right? I'll bet with you, but where are your Yin corpses? Don't worry, they're all here. Chu Tian took out 18 small scrolls and placed them on the ground. These scrolls were spatial storage scrolls made from the leftover materials of the space tower. They could be used to store the 18 divine servants. Come out. The 18 spatial storage scrolls automatically opened and the compressed space inside was released. 18 dark golden-skinned figures appeared in front of them. They were the 18 divine servants that Chu Tian had spent a lot of time and effort to make. Ian's spirit said with a stunned expression, "What kind of Yin corpses are these?" The 18 divine servants that Chu Tian released completely subverted Ian's spirit's understanding of Yin corpses. The Yin corpses were divided into black Yin corpses, white Yin corpses, corpse monsters, and corpse kings. Unless it was a corpse king, the Yin corpses would be covered in fur. How could this fellow release a corpse king? The 18 Yin corpses looked very strange. but the energy fluctuations they released were around the same as the corpse monsters, even being a bit weaker. How did you refine them? You want to learn unorthodox methods. What is there to learn? Een Spirit disdainfully said, I'll let you see how strong the corpse monsters controlled by the Een Spirit scripture are. She didn't see any movements. The 10 Een corpses took the initiative to take a step forward. Chu Tian understood. Using divine sense to control them, this was why when Een Spirit's divine sense failed in midair, the Een corpses immediately lost control. This is only a competition between Een corpses. Een Spirit was worried that the same thing would happen again. If you dare use your divine sense to interfere with the control, the bet will be nullified. Don't blame me for being impolite at that time. Divine sense controlling corpses was very easy. But because of this, experts skilled in divine sense attacks were the bane of Een Spirit's corpse control techniques. Een Spirit knew her weakness, so she made her divine sense this strong. There was no one in the great Zhou country that could make her suffer a loss. This Chu Tian was the first. Chu Tian shrugged his shoulders. Of course, I'm a person with a competitive spirit. If you have any skills, then come. Een Spirit's hands quickly formed seals and 10 seals fell onto the 10 Een corpses. Een Spirit seal, external incarnation. The 10 corpse monsters seemed to be filled with some kind of power. Roar! The 10 corpse monsters released a powerful strength, forming their own source spirits. Even Chu Tian was shocked this time. What was going on? The corpse monsters also had source spirits. Een Spirit revealed a proud smile. It's too late to regret now. Chapter 931. Meng Yingying's body trembled with anger. Chu Tian was not angry, not because he could endure it, but rather because he was very puzzled. What was this pig's brain made of? He was probably one of the strongest people in Een Gathering City and was used to being tyrannical. He had the Black Moon sect behind him, so he was not afraid of these young people from small countries. But did he not notice that he could not see through the cultivation of these 3 young people? This damn pig was at most in the 5th to 6th awakened soul layer. In Chu Tian's eyes, this level was not even considered trash. In the past, even a third-rate expert in Imperial City would be stronger than him by a large amount. Even in Central State City, he would at most be considered second-rate. This kind of idiot was crazily shouting at these true spirit cultivators, and he actually felt good about himself. For a poor and small country to be able to cultivate in a large country, this is the blessing of several lifetimes. I am an outer sect elder of the Black Moon sect, and many of my family's elders are in the Black Moon sect, so I will enter the inner sect sooner or later. At that time, I will have a status in the great Zhou country. What this brat can give you, I can also give you, so why do you need to follow a young master from a small country? The fatty already considered Meng Yingying to be his. I don't like to use force, so if you know what's good for you, then come over. Otherwise. Chu Tian shook his head. Yingying, if you can't hold it in, then don't hold it in. It's not good if you hurt your body, but I'll protect you if something happens. The Black Moon sect outer sect elder was stunned by Chu Tian's words. Meng Yingying released a dazzling glow of spirit energy. A mirror appeared above her head and a giant flame bird appeared in the mirror. An incomparably hot spirit energy surged out, accompanied by a loud and divine phoenix cry. It suddenly resounded through the 9 heavens. The onlookers were all stunned. Chu Tian also revealed a shocked expression. Meng Yingying's mirror source spirit's main ability was duplication, but duplication had its limits. 2 high-level source spirits, 2 high-level cultivation techniques, she had no way of duplicating them. Other than that, the duplication source spirit was effective, but the mirror image would disappear after a few days. Now not only could Meng Yingying duplicate a god-level source spirit, she could also keep a mirror image. This meant that this girl's strength had increased by a lot and her source spirit had also increased with her strength, so she could keep a permanent mirror image. Although it was lacking compared to the real Fire Phoenix source spirit, it was still a very strong battle-type source spirit. Hong! Countless raging flames transformed into a pair of huge phoenix wings, and countless scorching and destructive divine flames flowed around her body, making her look like a goddess who controlled flames and the power of destruction. Even a blind person would be able to see it. This little girl that didn't look that old, her cultivation was far beyond imagination. That fatty quickly shouted, "I am an outer sect elder of the Black Moon sect. This is the Heavenly Een Mountain Range's territory. If you dare touch a single hair on my head, do you think you can escape unscathed? Humph, after following Chu Tian for this long, you want to scare me with this kind of threat? Pa!" Meng Yingying gave a tender laugh, heaven-burning fist. This move was clearly copied from Nangong Yun's body. A huge flaming fist smashed into the fatty's body, and that pitiful protective yuan qi evaporated like it had met with high-temperature water. The berserk flaming energy was like a flood that broke through a dam, and instantly smashed into a house on the opposite side, burning a hole in the ground along the way. Meng Yingying was shocked by herself. I actually became this strong. He had clearly used 20% of his strength in that punch. Damn, fatty couldn't have been killed in one punch, right? The surrounding people began to shout in fear. Ah, the elder has been beaten. How dare you! You actually dare to beat the outer sect elder of the Black Moon sect in Tian Een Mountain. Dozens of black armored guards surrounded them in anger and shock. Meng Yingying casually sent out another palm, this time using only 10% of her strength. The palm energy turned into raging flames, attacking the dozens of guards. They were like dozens of logs that had been set on fire, falling to the ground with a ping ping pang 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 sound. They painfully fought against the flames on their bodies, none of them were able to get up. Chu Tian walked in front of the dazed Meng Yingying and said with a smile, "How is it? Does it feel good to beat people up?" She had never beaten up someone who bullied her like this before. It felt good enough, but wasn't it a bit too much? I'm sorry, I only used 10 to 20% of my strength. Meng Yingying's face was filled with embarrassment. She looked at the people rolling on the ground and then looked at Chu Tian. I didn't think they would be this weak. This couldn't be blamed on her. Meng Yingying had very little battle experience and her strength had increased very quickly, so she couldn't act as she pleased. AI, this is nothing, this is already considered light. Chu Tian shook his head. Nangong personally made a move. Even if she used 10% of her strength, she would still be able to burn these fellows to ashes. Although she can duplicate the Fire Phoenix source spirit, she still can't obtain its essence. She still has to work hard. Meng Yingying received Chu Tian's affirmation and immediately said with a smile, "Yes. The Great Zhou country's sects are very clear, outsiders making a move in their territory is considered a great provocation." Chen Bingyu slightly knit her brows and reminded him, "The Black Moon sect is very strong, they have over 10 true spirit experts in their sect, I'm afraid we'll attract trouble." Chu Tian looked at Chen Bingyu with an intriguing gaze. Big Sister Bing seems to be very familiar with the Great Zhou country. But Chu Tian was never a person afraid of causing trouble. Taking one step at a time was not Chu Tian's style, so it was better to make a large hole in the ground and let the Great Zhou country know of Chu Tian's existence. This would make things easier. With several long cries, 2 coffins quickly came from the west. One coffin was fire red, with large amounts of fire runes engraved on it. The other was blue and white, with large amounts of ice runes engraved on it. Although their strengths were different, it was probably because they cultivated the same sect's cultivation technique. They were both covered in a thick corpse energy and poison mist, charging over at a very fast speed. These are experts from the inner sect. The famous Fire and Ice Twins. This is one of the most talented geniuses in the younger generation of the Xianin sect. 2 figures came out of the 2 coffins. One was wearing a red robe covered in flames and the other was wearing a white robe covered in frost. One fire and one ice, repelling each other, but also intertwining with each other. It actually formed a kind of fire and ice cycle, a feeling of life and death. Who dares cause trouble in the Black Moon sect? The 2 inner sect elites were both wearing masks, but their stature and height were exactly the same. Even when they spoke, they were like a pair of twins. I did it. Meng Yingying sensed that the other side was not as strong as she imagined, around the 8-9th awakened soul layer. She was filled with confidence. The great Zhou country was only a so-so. Your Black Moon sect disciples bully the weak and have bad morals. I had to teach them a lesson. Shameless boasting. The two of them were instantly enraged. The Black Moon sect is an important place. How could we allow you to act so wildly? I'll let you see how strong the Black Moon sect is. Meng Yingying and Chu Tian looked at each other. After getting a confirmation, she said without any fear, "Don't try to scare me, I'm not afraid of you." The fight between the two sides instantly erupted. The two Black Moon sect inner sect elites used their secret techniques to attack Meng Yingying several times. What made them surprised was that no matter how they attacked, they would be bounced back by a layer of light. You're only a so-so. Meng Yingying was filled with pride. She felt like a war god had possessed her. Probably because she was in front of Chu Tian, she also wanted to show off, so she used her newly learned starlight movement technique. She took several steps in the air and flashed like lightning. Two palms shot out. Clean and direct. It didn't seem like it was as powerful as when she hit the fatty, but she had already used 40 to 50% of her strength. Spirit energy condensed on her arms, forming a thick layer of true spirit. Even if it was steel, it would still be cut in half. True spirit energy. The two brothers were filled with shock. It's a true spirit cultivator. The two of them were filled with shock, but it was already too late to escape. Meng Yingying sent one flying with a palm, just like throwing away two pieces of paper. The gathering city onlookers were all filled with shock. It was already not simple for a young girl to defeat an outer sect elder of the Black Moon sect, but they never would have thought that she could actually defeat an inner sect elite disciple. The strength of these two brothers wasn't bad, they could fight across realms, but it was impossible for them to defeat a true spirit cultivator. Not to mention that they couldn't break Meng Yingying's defense. Even if they were in the same realm, they most likely wouldn't be able to defeat Meng Yingying. Who are you people? Because her strength increased quickly and her spirit energy became stronger, it could increase her lifespan and slow down her growth. Meng Yingying's appearance had not changed at all, she was still the same as when Chu Tian saw her over a year ago. She looked to be around 15-16 years old, an ignorant young girl in the prime of her youth. A 15-16-year-old girl in the prime of her youth had a shocking true spirit cultivation. This kind of matter was unimaginable even in the great Zhou country. Yingying, stop. Chu Tian walked in front of the two Black Moon sect inner sect disciples. After all this time, you're on our side. If I knew earlier, I would have gone to find you. I haven't seen you in a year and your strength has increased quite quickly. The 10-corpse monster inner cores back then must have brought quite a bit of benefits. The Flame Ghost and Ice Demon brothers were a bit stunned. You are Lu Ren. Although it had been over a year and the young man's appearance had changed, his temperament couldn't be changed. When Flame Ghost and Ice Demon saw him, they immediately recognized him as the mysterious youth Lu Ren they met in the southern summer country's black market. The sword on his back and the fox sleeping on his shoulder proved this point. Now it seemed like Lu Ren was just a fake name and his appearance back then was a disguise. Chu Tian never thought he would meet these two brothers this coincidentally. That's right, it's me, but my real name is Chu Tian. Flame Ghost and Ice Demon looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. It really was this fellow. It was no wonder. Although they had only known Chu Tian for a short time, they knew that this youth was a monstrous genius. The Black Moon sect's outer sect elder, the bronze-masked old man, had brought the Flame Ghost brothers to the 10,000-corpse ancient tomb. If it wasn't for this fellow, the two of them would have died like the outer sect elder. So it's Brother Chu. Flame Ghost quickly stood up. This was all a misunderstanding. Ice Demon also said, Brother Chu has done the Black Moon sect a favor. I think the sect master and the elders and protectors will want to see you. Chapter 932. The 10-corpse monsters released their source spirits. These source spirits were very special. They were all ghost skeletons. There was wind, fire, water, darkness, and thunder, but most of them had different attributes. Some were good at long-range attacks and some were good at close combat. Yin's spirit's strength was pushed to the limit and her source spirit was released. Chu Tian had seen many strange source spirits in his 2 lives. The young Miss Book source spirit, Meng Yingying's mirror source spirit, and the Dongfang family's armament source spirit. These were all considered rare source spirits. Other than these, Chu Tian had seen mountains and rivers as source spirits, forests as source spirits, suns and moons as source spirits, and even gods and demons as source spirits like him. It was reasonable to say that no matter how strange it was, Chu Tian was used to it. But when he saw Yin's spirit's source spirit, he was still stunned. The space with Yin's spirit at the center was filled with darkness, being corroded by a strong death aura. Tombstones appeared around it, forming a graveyard in a short period of time. It was not a real graveyard. It was an image formed by spirit energy. In other words, it was Yin's spirit's source spirit. This fellow's source spirit was a graveyard. Chu Tian had never seen a graveyard as a source spirit before. There really were many strange things in this world. The 10 graves in Yin's spirit's graveyard source spirit had already been emptied. It was the 10 child source spirits from the graveyard source spirit that entered the Yin corpses, giving them the power of a source spirit. Each Yin corpse had some kind of connection with the Yin spirit. They had already become Yin spirits' incarnations and could use cultivation techniques with source spirits. Everything Yin's spirit had learned, she had already poured it into the Yin corpses through her source spirit, allowing each Yin corpse to have several perfection realm cultivation techniques. This is the Yin spirit scripture, created by this one. Yin's spirit only cared about wildly laughing. The 10 corpse monsters spoke at the same time, speaking in place of Yin's spirit. What will your Yin corpses use to fight this one? We haven't even started fighting yet, don't be in a rush to talk big. Alright, then I'll let you understand why you lost. The 10 corpse monsters were covered in demonic chi as they flew into the air. Countless ghosts came out of their bodies and finally gathered in their hands, forming a giant black seal. Profound Yin large hand seal. The 18 divine servants didn't even have a chance to make a move. The 10 incomparably fierce profound Yin large hand seals swept over and they didn't have any strength to resist at all. They were instantly sent flying like kites with their strings cut. Meng Yingying saw this shocking scene and her chin almost fell off from shock. My god, these corpse monsters can also use this kind of top-grade secret technique? Chen Bingyu said with a serious expression, they have Yin's spirit's perfection realm cultivation injected into them. In terms of attack strength and aura, each corpse monster's attack power is close to the Vice Sect Master Endless Yin's. Although these corpse monsters are in the second true spirit layer, the corpse poison and strength of the corpse monsters aren't weak. Adding in Yin's spirit's knowledge and several perfection realm cultivation techniques, they might not lose against a third true spirit layer cultivator. Meng Yingying said in a voice of disbelief, how could there be such a powerful cultivation technique in this world? Actually, this cultivation technique is flawed because the corpse monsters don't have spirit energy and their power comes from Yin's spirit. Chen Bingyu said with a calm expression, this also means that when Yin's spirit releases the 10 child source spirits in her main source spirit, her source spirit will be crippled and most of her spirit energy will be injected into the corpse monsters' bodies. This also means that Yin's spirit will be very weak right now. Although she still has the strength of a fourth true spirit layer cultivator, without the support of her source spirit, she can only be considered a normal fourth true spirit layer cultivator. Meng Yingying said with an emotional sigh, although she's weakened, she still has the ability to protect herself. No matter what, she's still very, very strong. Ha, ha, ha. Yin's spirit was like a child that had received a lollipop, defeated, they've all been defeated. Your Yin corpses can't even take a single blow. Interesting source spirit, interesting cultivation technique, he really is a talent. Chu Tian rubbed his chin as he looked at Yin's spirit, I've found that I like you a bit, you should just come with me. Yin's spirit was filled with disgust, scram. You've already lost. She swallowed her words before she could finish speaking, because the divine servants who had been knocked down by the fierce attack were now standing up one by one. Moreover, they seemed to be completely unharmed. Even after receiving such a fierce profound palm imprint head-on, there wasn't even a scratch on their skin. Their dark golden skin was like polished copper, giving off a mysterious feeling of invulnerability. Your corpses seem a bit strange. What will shock you is yet to come. Spirit gave a snort. Wasn't it just a bit sturdy? She didn't believe there were corpses she couldn't break. Therefore, she used the corpse monster clones and used the Black Moon sect's secret techniques. Profound large palm seal. Destruction cross swords. Extreme demonic shadow slash. The 10 corpse monsters fully displayed their strength. Basically anything Spirit knew, the 10 corpse monsters knew. With their perfection realm cultivation techniques and various secret techniques and martial arts, their attacks were like a wild storm. The divine servants were sent flying again and again, smashing into the ground, only to stand up again and again. Chu Tian seemed like he was purposely not fighting back. His hands were crossed in front of his chest like he was watching a play. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, as time went by, Spirit's mood went from shock to amazement, before finally turning into despair. No matter how fierce the attack was, even if the divine servants' bodies were destroyed, it was useless. They could recover in a short period of time. The consumption was increasing. She couldn't even kill a single divine servant. Why was it like this? Could it be that these corpses had undying bodies? Chu Tian saw Spirit say with a smile, I was hoping that the sect master would come up with something new, but I never thought that you would be at your wits' end this quickly. Your corpses don't seem like much. Spirit's pale little face instantly turned dark. The 10 corpse monsters were Spirit's pride, but they were like a joke in Chu Tian's eyes. This was simply trampling on her dignity, how could she not be angry? Chu Tian became even worse as he said, actually this kind of bet is very unfair to you, after all, our strengths aren't on the same level. If this is spread, others will say that I'm bullying a little girl. I suggest we change the method. Have your corpses stand together and as long as they can block a single attack from a divine servant, I'll lose this bet. You're going too far. Going too far. Spirit flew into a rage. Chu Tian shrugged his shoulders, this is just a small suggestion out of goodwill. If you really don't accept it, then I have no choice but to keep fighting like this. Spirit's teeth almost shattered from gritting. The 10 corpse monsters couldn't do anything to the 18 divine servants at all. The corpse monsters had already lost over half of their strength and if they continued to be consumed, they wouldn't be able to fight anymore. Alright, since you dare be this arrogant, then let me see what kind of arrogance you have. The 10 corpse monsters returned to form a triangular formation. They transmitted their strength to each other, instantly forming a black barrier. Each corpse was covered in a layer of black armor, releasing 2 layers of defense at the same time. Spirit said in a cold voice, this is a double layer of defense formed by the heavenly demon barrier and the heavenly demon armor, let's see how you break it. A divine servant walked out and her strength slowly spread out. There were runes on the surface of her dark golden skin and a hazy glow slowly covered her body. It went from weak to bright before quickly returning, like a snow-white cocoon tightly wrapping around the divine servant's body. Spirit could clearly feel the energy released from the divine servant's body. Although it wasn't strong, it gave people a feeling of a high and mighty deity descending. The divine servant's aura quickly accumulated during this process, just like countless rivers gathering together to form an ocean. The divine servant suddenly cut her arm and dark golden blood flowed out of her skin. Spirit had attacked the divine servant for a long time, but the divine servant had not shed a single drop of blood from beginning to end. It was like this monster did not have any blood and the dark golden blood flowed down her arm, finally covering it like a layer of wax. Prepare. My attack is about to come. With Chu Tian's kind reminder, the divine servant's power was released and her aura was condensed to the peak. It was like a cannonball as it charged in front of the 10 corpses. The light around its body shined brightly as it suddenly raised its wax-like right arm and heavily punched the black barrier. The divine servant's white light gathered in her right arm, and when it was released from her fist, the white light was mixed with large amounts of dark golden light. This attack was not considered strong, not even reaching the third true spirit layer. In terms of energy, it was impossible for it to break the barrier. However, the result of a drop of water falling on the rain cloth and a drop of magma falling on the rain was completely different. The power of the divine servants was mixed with divine power, and now, with the support of the god's blood that could break through any curse or darkness, the black barrier did not have the slightest bit of resistance, and was almost completely shattered in an instant. The protective cultivation techniques around the corpse monsters all collapsed. The 10 corpse monsters seemed like they had been washed by magma, instantly releasing smoke from their 7 orifices as their bodies turned black, falling to the ground one by one. At this time, after the divine servant released all the energy in her body, she also fell to the ground. Everyone was stunned. The 10 corpse monsters that the Black Moon sect was proud of. They had been defeated by a single punch from a divine servant. Ian's spirit could not accept this reality no matter what. After being stunned for several minutes, she suddenly screamed out, "No, my corpse monsters, you bastard, do you know how long I used to refine them? Destroyed, you destroyed them all. I'll kill you, I'll definitely kill you." Ian's spirit was like an angry gambler. Or like a child whose last toy had been snatched away. In short, the bet had already been thrown to the back of her mind. Even if she had to kill all the hostages, Ian's spirit would kill this damn fellow. This bastard had destroyed all her years of hard work. Why is the sect master so angry? Your corpse monsters have not been destroyed, they can still be used after being repaired. Chu Tian ignored Ian's spirit's killing intent and anger as he said with a face that was asking for a beating, "But after seeing the might of the divine servant, can you still look at these normal things?" Ian's spirit was suddenly silent as her face was filled with defeat and dejection. She looked at the divine servant with an incomparable look of envy. Comparing her carefully refined corpse monsters to these divine servants, it was like comparing a dung pit stone to a top-quality gem. Chu Tian said in a bewitching voice, "These divine servants are my work and I have some leftover materials, so I can turn your Ian corpses into divine servants." Really? Ian's spirit revealed a look of joy, as if she had forgotten her hatred for Chu Tian. However, she immediately became vigilant. "Don't think that you can buy the entire Black Moon sect like this. Little sister, this isn't right. I, Chu Tian, never like taking advantage of people, especially a minor like you." Chu Tian shook his head. "Cooperation, it's cooperation. The Black Moon sect and Miracle Commerce will cooperate, we will both win. You're not allowed to call me little sister. This one is older than you." Ian's spirit thought of something. "Wait, you said you're Chu Tian. Miracle Commerce is Chu Tian. Sect Master has heard of this one's little name, it truly is an honor. Can we have a proper talk? Since we're talking about cooperation, you should at least show a bit of sincerity." Chu Tian released Endless Ian and waved his hand at Chen Bingyu. Chen Bingyu understood and immediately released the seal, freeing the Black Moon sect elders and protectors from their frozen state. He released the hostages like this? He was too bold. The Black Moon sect disciples saw this and immediately surrounded the 3 of them. "You can all leave." Ian's spirit called out, stopping the sect disciples. She looked at Chu Tian. "Good courage, you really are someone. Let's go in and talk." Chapter 933. One of the great Zhou country's 6 famous mountains, the Heavenly Yin Mountain, was an ancient ruin. The Black Moon sect's ancestor excavated the ruins and obtained the inheritance of the ancient Heavenly Yin sect, creating this powerful sect. "The mountain protecting array has been opened, please come with us." "Many thanks. This is how it should be." The Ghost Flame and Ice Demon brothers were very respectful to Chu Tian. "Without Brother Chu, how could we be here today? But Brother Chu, we have to remind you that the Black Moon sect's elders and protectors don't have good tempers, so we hope you can pay attention to your words." Chu Tian agreed. The Black Moon sect's cultivation technique leaned towards demonic cultivators, so this kind of cultivator's interest would be affected and they would become angry easily. This was also the reason why demonic cultivators weren't easy to get along with. The three of them followed the secret path into a deep valley. On both sides were all kinds of fierce statues and Black Moon sect disciples guarding them. The large illusion array completely blocked the five senses. If it wasn't for the two brothers opening the mountain protecting array and revealing this path, others wouldn't be able to find the entrance to the Black Moon sect from the heavenly Yin mountain. Meng Yingying asked while walking, "You have friends in the Great Zhou country, how come I don't know about this?" They couldn't even be considered friends. He explained the matter of the Yin Corpse Valley. The Ghost Flame and Ice Demon brothers were just passers-by to Chu Tian. He thought they wouldn't meet again. He never thought they would meet in this kind of place, it was a matter of fate. In the beginning, Chu Tian gave the two brothers the 10,000-year-old corpse monster cores. Perhaps he didn't feel anything, but to the two of them, it was simply a favor of rebirth. The Great Zhou country had many sections. Each sect was divided into inner and outer sections. For a large sect like the Black Moon sect, they had at least a few thousand miles of land. They had several dozen cities and enjoyed the worship of tens of millions of people. And these tens of millions of people belonged to the outer sect. The outer sect was a vassal power. The inner sect was the true core power. The outer sect supported the sect to become stronger and the sect became stronger to protect them. The inner sect disciples were all chosen from the outer sect, so the two sides were interdependent. But in comparison, there was a large difference in status, it was like a heavenly moat. The bronze-masked old man was an outer sect elder in the past. Frankly speaking, he was just a merchant that ran errands for the Black Moon sect. At that time, the Flame Ghost and Ice Demon brothers had great innate talents, but they were only chosen as inner sect disciples and did not officially enter the sect. It was because of the large amount of rewards that they exchanged for 10 corpse cores that their strength soared over the past year. Now they were the most eye-catching stars of the Black Moon sect, the fatty did not place them in his eyes at all. The two brothers could feel it. Meng Yingying was the weakest of the three, but she still had a true spirit cultivation. Even in the Great Zhou country, this kind of person was rare, not to mention that a poor land like the southern summer country could give birth to such a monstrous talent. How could the two brothers not be shocked? According to this speed, they would reach an unimaginable realm in less than 10 years. The entire Great Zhou country would have to look up to them. A large number of grand buildings appeared in front of them. The Black Moon sect had around 200,000 people and all of them were awakened soul cultivators. Just this strength was enough to look down on a small country and they had over 10 true spirit cultivators. Just this one sect was much stronger than the southern summer country of the past. This was the difference between a large country and a small country. Greetings Vice Sect Master, 4 great protectors, and various elders. The Flame Ghost and Ice Demon brothers brought Chu Tian into a large hall. There were Black Moon sect cultivators on both sides, each wearing similar clothes. Although their clothes were different, they were all wearing masks. This is the Great Summer Country's scholar Chu Tian. Chu Tian's group of 3 stood in the center of the hall, ignoring the pressure from the surrounding Black Moon sect cultivators. His eyes passed through the hall and fell onto the people at the front. There were a total of 3 people here. One of them had a tall and sturdy figure, wearing a pitch-black robe from head to toe. He had a fierce black iron mask on his face and his body was filled with a faint demonic qi. There were 2 people standing on his left and right. The 4 of them were dressed in green, red, blue, and yellow, 4 different colors. Other than the colors, their clothes and masks were all the same. They were all wearing round robes with a deep hood over their heads. Each person was surrounded by a different kind of energy. Vice Sect Master Endless Yin. The 4 great wind, fire, water, and earth protectors. There were also a few elders from the Black Moon sect. Each person was wearing a ghost mask, giving off a ghostly aura that made Meng Yingying feel very uncomfortable. The Black Moon sect's inherited cultivation technique was special. Normally when a sect accepted a disciple, they would either accept a certain type of innate talent or they would use the inheritance to cover up their innate talent, allowing the entire sect to practice the same cultivation technique. The giant shark gang of the Four States Lake was similar. The Black Moon sect was different in that they did not restrict innate talent. It was just that on top of the innate talent of their source spirit, they would use the characteristics of the Black Moon sect's Black Moon cultivation technique. The four protectors' spirit energy should be wind, fire, water, and earth. The wind was een wind, the water was een water, the fire was een fire, and the earth was een earth. This was a very good inheritance. The vice sect master Endless Een slowly stood up and the surrounding black chi was released. A deep voice came from behind the mask. You are the rogue cultivator from the small southern summer country that brought 10 corpse cores to the Black Moon sect a year ago? That's right. Chu Tian didn't care about Endless Yin's contempt. The Black Moon sect is one of the Great Zhou country's 6 famous sects and can be considered a pillar of the Great Zhou country. I, as the Great Summer Country's envoy, wish for the Great Summer Country and Great Zhou country to work together and resist the Northern Eagle Burial Kingdom. Ha, 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 ha. A series of laughter came from the main hall and a person dressed as a Black Moon sect elder stood up. Bullshit Great Summer Country. Could it be that a respected large country can't even send a decent person? A brat who still smells of his mother's milk and 2 women wanted to take advantage of the Great Zhou dynasty? You want to obtain the Black Moon sect's support? Laughable, laughable. What qualifications do you have? Don't think that you can bribe the Black Moon sect with a few corpse cores. Chu Tian glanced at him. Your Excellency's name? The Black Moon sect's punishment elder, Yang Miao. Flame Ghost and Ice Demon became a bit embarrassed and immediately looked at Chu Tian. Elder Yang Miao couldn't be provoked. His Een Water demonic technique had reached the perfection realm and he had the highest status among the sect elders. His cultivation had reached the second true spirit layer and he had several dozen Black Moon sect secret techniques. Second true spirit layer? This didn't count for shit in the forest of chaos. A piece of trash like you dares to be arrogant in front of father? These fellows' eyes were high above their heads and they had bad intentions, so there was no benefit in being humble. Only by showing enough strength could they speak properly. That's right, we are small characters in the Great Summer Country. Chu Tian had already thrown his promise to the 2 brothers to the back of his head, but small characters like us are very curious and want to see the secret techniques of the Great Zhou country's famous sections. If the elder is generous, how about we make a bet? Yang Miao said with a cold smile, are you worthy of making a bet with me? In the 10,000 corpse ancient tomb, I didn't just obtain 10,000-year-old corpse monster cores. Of course I'm not worthy, but it is. Chu Tian casually held the sword in his hand. When the ice-cold sword blade touched the ground, it released a cold aura that turned into a large piece of frost, the ancient soul-contracting weapon, the Netherworld sword. I think it is considered a top-grade treasure in the Great Zhou country. If the elder can defeat any one of the 3, this sword will be the Great Summer country's gift to the Black Moon sect. The expressions of everyone present slightly changed. There was a trace of fluctuation in Endless Yin's eyes. Chu Tian's Netherworld sword was no longer the Netherworld sword he had just obtained. It had already recovered its strength and was even stronger than before. In a place like the Black Moon sect, it could be considered a top-grade treasure. The Black Moon sect had eyes above their heads. How could a small country like the Southern Summer Country place them in their eyes? They were willing to meet Chu Tian this time because they knew that Chu Tian had many treasures. They never thought that before they even made a move, Chu Tian would take out the Netherworld sword. Yang Miao's mask gave a sinister laugh. Is it really like this? Would I lie to you here? Chu Tian shrugged his shoulders and said, if I win, you have to agree to some of my conditions. Was this little country's youth an idiot? What qualifications did he have to bargain in this kind of situation? Even if he could make the Black Moon sect agree to his conditions, would the Black Moon sect keep their promise? Little brother is this confident. The vice sect master Endless Een suddenly spoke up. It would be a waste if he didn't take the treasures sent to him, Elder Yang should exchange pointers with them. Let these small country cultivators see the Black Moon sect's cultivation technique, it can be considered doing a good deed. Alright. Yang Miao's spirit energy was suddenly released. His body that was sitting on the seat suddenly changed shape. Like black water surging out, it flowed into the ground in front of him, instantly forming his body. There were still black water droplets moving around his body. Don't say that I'm bullying the weak, whoever has the confidence to go up, it's fine even if all three of you come together. Such a strange cultivation technique. The Black Moon sect's elder gave people a feeling like his body had turned into invisible water, constantly changing and hiding danger. This was the perfection realm of the Yin water demonic technique? Meng Yingying volunteered, I'll fight. Chu Tian deliberately provoked her, will you have a problem? No problem. Meng Yingying was filled with confidence, I'll finish it in 10 moves. Chu Tian shook his head in dissatisfaction and said, 10 moves is too much, I'll finish it in 3 moves. Meng Yingying tilted her head and thought about it, I'll try. Yang Miao's eyes turned dark and terrifying, are the southern summer people as arrogant as you? No, actually the great summer people are very humble. Chu Tian said with a smile, unless we meet trash that overestimates themselves and doesn't know themselves, then we will teach them a lesson. With these words, everyone's expressions changed. Ghost Flame and Ice Demon were stunned. Did Chu Tian's brain break? Didn't he know that he was in the Black Moon sect's territory? If he said these words in front of so many people from the Black Moon sect, would the Black Moon sect let him leave? Where would the face of one of the great Zhou's 6 great sects go? With these words, this was simply a naked provocation. Yang Miao flew into a rage out of shame, bold. AI, don't be excited, I'm not targeting you alone. Chu Tian's eyes swept over the surrounding elders, as well as the protectors and vice sect masters, I'm talking about everyone here. Bastard! Before he even finished, Yang Miao angrily attacked, going around Meng Yingying to attack Chu Tian. Chapter 934. Chu Tian was sitting on the table with a faint smile and crossing his legs. The little fox was lazily lying on his shoulder yawning, with Chen Bingyu on his left and Meng Yingying on his right, with the 18 divine servants standing behind him like statues. If one didn't know the situation, they would think that Chu Tian was a rich family's young master, holding beauties on his left and right, participating in a tea party with bodyguards. In contrast to the several dozen angry Black Moon sect elders, protectors, vice sect master Endless Yin, and etc. These people were all famous people in the Great Zhou country, even a casual stomp of their feet could shake the Great Zhou country, but they could only stare at Chu Tian, unable to do anything. Sect master, why do we have to negotiate with this bastard? This fellow has caused the Black Moon sect to lose face. If today's matter were to be spread, our 2,000 years of reputation would be lost. Where would the Heavenly Yin Mountain's 10,000 years of prestige go? Kill him. The Black Moon sect's people angrily shouted. Chu Tian's group's actions were hard to forgive. This matter did not just affect their personal reputation, it also shamed one of the famous Great Zhou Mountains, the Heavenly Yin Mountain. Would the 1,000 years of accumulation be destroyed in the hands of a little brat? Yin's spirit's small body looked like she was around 10 years old. Adding in her red robe that didn't have a single wrinkle, she looked just like a little doll. Where did she have the aura of a sect master at all? However, he was sitting in the middle of the group of old men with an air of seniority, which gave people a very strange feeling. No matter how angry the elders and vice sect masters were, her expression didn't change at all. Her large black eyes curiously looked at Chu Tian. She didn't understand why Chu Tian was so fearless without a hostage in his hands. Yin's spirit had a cultivation in the 4th true spirit layer and several dozen powerful elders and protectors, as well as tens of thousands of elite cultivators. If she wanted to kill a few people, she wouldn't be able to escape no matter what. Whether it was the elegant and indifferent Chen Bingyu, the young and immature Meng Yingying, or the mysterious and unfathomable Chu Tian, the 3 of them had never shown any signs of worry. This meant that they definitely had something to rely on, but what could it be? Hey, I say, little sister sect master, can you make these fellows who are barking like dogs shut up? Chu Tian changed to a more comfortable position in the chair. We are talking about the fate of the Black Moon sect. What is with all this noise? I'll say it again, you're not allowed to call me little sister. Yine's spirit seemed like she hated this title. Her little hand slapped the stone table and the entire hall trembled. Your actions have already caused serious damage to the heavenly Yine mountain. I'm not thinking about cooperation right now, rather I'm thinking about how to deal with the three of you. The Black Moon sect cooperating with Miracle Commerce is beneficial. As for damaging the heavenly Yine mountain's reputation, I'm very sorry, this was not my original intention. But then again, it's better to suffer some losses than to be annihilated. Chu Tian's words were no different from a naked threat. The era of the Great Zhou country's 6 famous mountains has come to an end and the Great Zhou country will soon have a large wave. It doesn't matter if you want to see it or not, but it will happen. Anyone that tries to stop the wheel of fate will be ruthlessly crushed to pieces. Too arrogant. Endless Yine angrily roared, you want to topple the 6 famous mountains with just you? That's right, just me. Chu Tian was not polite at all. Actually, even if I don't interfere, once the Eagle Burial Warring Kingdom attacks, there won't be any intact eggs in the nest. The Great Zhou country can't do anything alone. Even if they close their sect and hide, without the resources of the world, how can the 6 famous mountains develop? Not to mention the experts of the Eagle Burial Warring Kingdom are like clouds, it's a problem if your mountain protecting array can block them. Not to mention establishing your sect, you might not even be able to protect your old ancestors' grave. The elders were so angry that they were about to explode. This kind of arrogant attitude and this kind of taunting tone, how could these fellows tolerate this? Yine's spirit's little hand came out of her sleeve and placed it on the table. There was a flash of cold light in her eyes. I know Chairman Chu is very interesting and I know that Miracle Commerce has some new toys, but you have to understand that there are many things in this world that can't be bought with just a few source stones. This Chu believes that there is nothing in this world that can't be discussed. If a few source stones can't be bought, then what about several dozen, several hundred, several tens of thousands, several 100 million, several 100 billion, several trillion? Chu Tian revealed a very enticing smile. If you can give enough benefits, how hard would it be to buy the entire Black Moon sect? Yine's spirit revealed 2 cute little canines as she revealed a smile. This one wants to hear what kind of price Chairman Chu can offer. Within half a year, the Black Moon sect will become the #1 sect in the Great Zhou country. Whether it is a normal sect or a small sect, or the 6 famous mountains, the entire Great Zhou country will have to listen to the heavenly Yine mountain. Everyone's eyes popped out. Did this fellow know the weight of these words? The 6 famous mountains had been fighting for over 1,000 years. Even if a certain sect could stand out for a while, their glory would only last 100 years. This was because once a famous mountain surpassed the other mountains by too much, the 5 famous mountains would work together to suppress it. There had never been a single sect that could suppress the other 5 mountains by themselves. Wasn't doing it in half a year nonsense? Chu Tian did not finish and raised 3 fingers. Within 3 years, the Black Moon sect will be spread across the surrounding large and small countries. The Black Moon sect will become the strongest sect in this area and the richest sect. This was even more nonsense. Yine's spirit began to laugh. Chairman Chu really knows how to joke. With your Miracle Commerce's strength, you actually dare to boast like this. This is just too funny. Little sister, if the sect master thinks like this, it means you don't understand Miracle Commerce. Damn! Yine's spirit was filled with anger as she slapped off a piece of the stone table. I already said not to call me little sister. Chu Tian did not place Yine's spirit's anger in his eyes at all. Look at the 18 divine servants behind me. Do you still think Miracle Commerce is a normal company? Humph, I admit that the divine servants aren't bad, but so what? Yine's spirit's eyes were filled with a strong desire when she looked at the divine servants. If her Yine's spirit scripture, combined with these divine servants, just how strong would they be? You still can't prove your strength, right? Could it be that just because of a word from you, the entire Black Moon sect will support you? You think too highly of yourselves. What you say is reasonable. Chu Tian's eyes turned. Does your sect have spatial crystals? Spatial crystals are very precious, but the heavenly Yin mountain has been around for tens of thousands of years, so naturally we have some in reserve. Why are you asking this? Then it's easy. Chu Tian said, I'll immediately help you transform 10 Yin corpses and you can use the spatial crystals to pay for it. I think this business won't be a loss for you. You can transform my Yin corpses into divine servants? No, I don't have many materials left. Although I can't completely transform them into divine servants, it's not far from it. They have a recovery power close to the divine servants and around 50% of the divine servants' divine power. These undead puppets are called death servants. Yin's spirit knew that she couldn't transform them to be as strong as the divine servants, so she was a bit dissatisfied in her heart. But hearing that they had a strong recovery power like the divine servants, this was a large temptation to her. At least if she used spatial crystals to exchange for them, she wouldn't suffer a loss. Spatial crystals were rare, but what could they be used for? It was nothing more than making some storage tools. Even if the death servants weren't as strong as the divine servants, they were still very strong and hard to deal with puppets. These monsters that couldn't even be killed had decent strength, and with Yin's spirit's unique cultivation technique, they would all turn into incarnations, possessing terrifying strength. This was enough to increase the Black Moon sect's strength by a large amount. The most important thing was that the death servants were undead monsters. These monsters wouldn't die of old age, so they could be passed down as a treasure of the Black Moon sect. What do you want the spatial crystals for? I plan on building a transport tower for the Black Moon sect. Once this transport tower is built in the Black Moon sect, the Black Moon sect will undergo an earth-shattering change. Chu Tian said this before adding, however, what you need to pay attention to is that this transport tower isn't a free gift. Whether you agree to cooperate with Miracle Commerce or not, this transport tower will be an additional condition. The Black Moon sect can choose whether or not to keep the transport tower. If we keep it, then it will be equal to Miracle Commerce's condition. A third of the Black Moon sect will belong to Miracle Commerce, and as for Little Sister Sect Master, you will be an employee of Miracle Commerce from now on. Everyone's faces fell. Bold. This person has wild ambitions, he actually wants to swallow the Black Moon sect. They had never heard of a sect becoming a shareholder, this was simply nonsense. Yin's spirit gritted her teeth, this one is the respected Black Moon sect's master, you dare let this one run to Miracle Commerce as an employee? Don't speak so early. Chu Tian revealed a mysterious smile, it doesn't matter if you accept it or not, the choice is in your hands. If you choose not to keep the transport tower, I can't force you and can only dismantle it for the materials. As for you, you can at least obtain 10 death servants. No matter how you look at it, the Black Moon sect will not suffer a loss. Yin's spirit carefully considered it. She didn't know what the transport tower was, but she didn't think there would be any danger. Since she was watching from the side, there shouldn't be any problems. All right. Yin's spirit made her decision, I agree. Why don't you build that teleportation tower for me? I want to see what you're up to. The Black Moon sect took out all the spatial crystals they had stored in the sect. Chu Tian counted it and found that it was enough for one transport tower, so he collected it all and let Meng Yingying be in charge of building the transport tower. Chu Tian took the rest of the divine blood to help Yin's spirit transform her precious Yin corpses. The transport tower would take several days to build. But it didn't matter, Chu Tian was not in a rush. Chapter 935. The Great Zhou country was stronger than the Great Summer country, this was an undeniable fact. Just the Black Moon sect could gather 100,000 or even 200,000 awakened soul cultivators. If this power was used well, it could destroy the Great Summer country. The Black Moon sect was just one of the many sects in the Great Zhou country. It could be imagined that if the Great Zhou country's army gathered together, perhaps each person would be able to drown Chu Tian and take him back. Not to mention the fact that the three of them were in the Black Moon sect's territory. This was one of the oldest sects in the Great Zhou country, with all kinds of restrictions, barriers, and arrays. Not only was it hard to attack, it was harder than ascending to the heavens to kill their way out. Chu Tian's inexplicable provocation seemed like an irrational thing to do. Wasn't this no different from seeking death? Actually, it wasn't like this. Chu Tian wasn't afraid of them at all. Even if they took 10,000 steps back and the three of them had city return scrolls, they could just run away if the situation was bad. There was no way to stop spatial scrolls in this era, so what could the Black Moon sect do to them even if they had more people? Chu Tian didn't have the time to slowly bargain with them. The Black Moon sect was a sect filled with demonic cultivators. Although they weren't evil, as long as they were demonic cultivators, they would follow the law of the jungle. Moreover, verbal promises and oaths had no meaning. Chu Tian didn't want to waste his saliva and knowledge, it was better to use absolute strength to make them yield. So what if the Black Moon sect was strong? The Great Zhou country was strong in terms of comprehensive strength, resources, army, and economy. If it was just in terms of experts, the Black Moon sect couldn't even compare to Miracle City. Being afraid like this, was this still Chu Tian's style? No matter what, Chu Tian had successfully enraged Yang Miao. His hands came together and his body began to melt, turning into a human-shaped jelly. Large droplets of water floated out of his body and each droplet floated in the air. Yang Miao's hands suddenly pushed forward. Several dozen droplets of water shot out at Chu Tian. Dead water seal. This was one of the Black Moon sect's secret techniques. Yang Miao clearly had a rare elemental source spirit and his source spirit was water. Combining it with the Yin water demonic technique to display this secret technique, each droplet of water had a strong penetrative power. The most poisonous part was that it could easily corrode protective spirit energy and most protective cultivation techniques would be ineffective. Moreover, it contained a strong poison, killing anyone who touched it. You've hit the wrong person, your opponent is me. Meng Yingying's body was covered in starlight. Under the intense collision of the electromagnetic light, she was like a bolt of lightning blocking Chu Tian. Several dozen droplets of water fell onto Meng Yingying's petite and beautiful body. When these jet-black droplets hit Meng Yingying's body, it was like droplets of water falling onto a burning hot iron pot. There was a sizzling sound as steam rose up, almost instantly evaporating. No effect. Yang Miao's face slightly changed. This girl had a cultivation in the first true spirit layer at such a young age, this was very shocking. At least in the Black Moon sect, there had never been a 16-year-old who had a true spirit cultivation. Even in the history of the Great Zhou country, there weren't many. A trivial little country's girl, how could she have this kind of ability? The most incredible thing was an unheard-of defensive cultivation technique. Not only did it have a strong defense, it could also resist the corrosion of darkness and curses, making the dead water seal ineffective. The Great Zhou country was a country filled with sects, with countless ancient inheritances and cultivation techniques, but they had never heard of this kind of cultivation technique before. Yang Miao used all his strength and his body became even more blurry. Countless streams of black steam were released, instantly swallowing Meng Yingying like a giant beast. So what if her defense was strong? This move could turn her cultivation into water mist and this water mist was everywhere. From the pores, from the nose, from the ears, it could enter any part of the body. Even if a trace entered the body, it was enough to kill a first true spirit layer cultivator. Meng Yingying's cultivation was high, but she clearly didn't have enough battle experience. She was a bit stunned when she faced the attack and in that moment, she was completely surrounded by the black water mist. She even accidentally breathed in a few mouthfuls, so she was dead for sure. Yang Miao's Yin water demonic technique was not for nothing. If it was a normal true spirit cultivator, they would have lost their battle strength even if they didn't die. But when the starlight immortal body reached the sacred light body realm, the power released came from the inside. It was not just the surface of the body, each muscle, meridians, and even the internal organs were all covered by the sacred light body's power. So even if Meng Yingying made this mistake, she would not be injured at all, only being frozen for a few seconds. Profound Yin large hand seal. This time Yang Miao used a high-grade secret technique of the Black Moon sect. Endless wild energy came out of his body, condensing into a giant palm that slammed at Meng Yingying. Yang Miao used his full strength in this attack, not holding anything back at all. The profound Yin large hand seal was one of Yang Miao's strongest killing moves. Meng Yingying finally felt a sense of crisis. Her reaction and movements were very slow, and this time she finally released her mirror source spirit. Before she could make the next move, the powerful giant handprint heavily bombarded her body. Die! Yang Miao did not have any protective feelings for the fairer sex as he angrily roared out with all his strength, wanting to crush this young girl to pieces. The moment the large hand seal slammed into the other side, Yang Miao felt like a giant wave slamming into a diamond. He couldn't shake it at all, and the terrifying power was reflected back at him. The Starlight immortal body had the ability to reflect damage. Meng Yingying's mirror source spirit also had the ability to reflect damage. When Meng Yingying received this attack, she immediately activated the Starlight immortal body, returning most of the power to Yang Miao. Yang Miao's large hand shattered inch by inch, turning into countless drops of water that fell onto her body. The ground, pillars, walls, and ceiling behind her were all filled with holes. Meng Yingying counterattacked for the first time. A normal cultivator would have been killed by the reflected power. Yang Miao received a strong backlash, but Yang Miao's cultivation technique was very special. The Yin water demonic technique in the perfection realm made his body turn into elemental essences. When the reflected power hit his body, it was all absorbed by his half-liquefied body, so it didn't cause any damage. Even like this, Yingying's strength was enough to make others look at her in a different light. Chu Tian said from the side, the first move. Meng Yingying's brows knit together as the starlight around her body collided. Her figure turned into a bolt of lightning as she charged out. Her flawless right arm swept out and she actually sent out an incomparably sharp starlight blade. Yang Miao still hadn't stabilized himself. This close distance, this fast speed, and this kind of attack, he had no way of dodging. He could only condense a water shield in front of him. The starlight blade pierced through the water shield and directly into Yang Miao's body. Did she kill him? Meng Yingying had just sent out this thought when Yang Miao retreated. There was indeed a large hole in his chest, but the black water quickly surged out. In just a short moment, it was as good as new, not leaving a single mark. With a water source spirit and a strange cultivation technique, it can nullify all attacks. Even if Meng Yingying didn't have any battle experience, she could still see through this trick. This is a bit hard to deal with. His cultivation base is higher than mine, it won't be easy to break it. Chu Tian reminded, the second move. Meng Yingying used all her spirit energy and the mirror source spirit floating behind her suddenly had the image of a fire phoenix appear. That raging flame came out of the mirror and instantly surrounded Meng Yingying. Fire phoenix? The Black Moon sect people were shocked. This was the legendary god-level source spirit. Meng Yingying's fire phoenix was a fake, although it couldn't compare to Nangong Yun, the mirror fire phoenix still had the power of a fire phoenix. Meng Yingying used half of her source spirit and used all her strength to gather this strong flame energy. The flames around Meng Yingying became stronger and stronger and a giant phoenix appeared around her. Chu Tian was a bit stunned. Great Nirvana. Scripture. Not only did Meng Yingying copy Nangong Yun's source spirit, she even wanted to copy Nangong Yun's main cultivation technique. Of course, this was impossible. At least with Meng Yingying's current strength, she could only copy a bit of it. Even so, it was still very strong. A little girl in her teens could force one of the highest-ranking elders of the Black Moon sect to this point. Yang Miao was filled with anger and shock. His hands formed several seals and large amounts of black water came out of his body. His body quickly swelled up and in the blink of an eye, he turned into a 3-meter-tall black water demon and his aura doubled. Profound Yin large hand seal. Yang Miao pushed the Yin water demonic technique to its peak, turning himself into a black water demon. Then he used his secret technique and wildly attacked Meng Yingying. This was already the strongest attack he could make. Heaven Burning Fist. Meng Yingying had already released most of her strength. The mirror source spirit continued to provide energy behind her, and her entire body was covered in a hazy phoenix. The two of them fiercely collided. Fire against water, light against darkness. In that instant, water vapor filled the entire main hall. This water vapor was caused by Yang Miao's spirit energy evaporating, and it contained the Yin water demonic technique's poison. The elders and disciples all ran away, afraid of being caught in the crossfire. Yang Miao's protective water demon technique was evaporated by the fire phoenix's power. Meng Yingying's fist landed solidly on his body. Even though it was very close, it still broke through his protective magic power. Yang Miao was like a puppet with its strings cut, instantly breaking 6 or 7 pillars, finally falling heavily into the corner of the wall. You! Yang Miao spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted on the spot. Meng Yingying's little face was a bit pale, probably because she had used up too much energy. It really was dangerous. Yang Miao was actually a bit stronger than her, but the starlight immortal body could restrain him, so Meng Yingying didn't have any worries when she attacked. Yang Miao had to use a part of his cultivation to protect his body, but he was suppressed by the fire phoenix's power, so he was directly defeated by Meng Yingying. But Meng Yingying did it. In just 3 moves, he had defeated a cultivator of a higher level. Humph! The Black Moon Sect's Vice Sect Master Endless Yin's face sunk, daring to insult my Black Moon Sect. 4 protectors, take them down. The 4 protectors made their moves. Wind, fire, water, and earth, the 4 of them had different source spirits, but none of them were weaker than Yang Miao. With the 4 of them attacking at the same time, their strength surpassed one's imagination. Chu Tian shook his head with a look of disdain. You can't beat me one-on-one, so you're using numbers to suppress me? The hall was filled with a bone-chilling cold. Before the 4 protectors attacked, there was a blizzard that appeared out of nowhere. Endless Yin was shocked to find that the black-clothed woman beside Chu Tian had made a move. This woman had always been quiet and low-key, but when she made a move, she was actually this strong. Perhaps she was several times stronger than that girl. Seeing a ghost. Chapter 936. Other than refining Yin spirit's death servants, Chu Tian did not stay idle. He swallowed pills every day to increase his cultivation. Now that miracle commerce was in the center of the forest of chaos and they had the bustling Oldman small town market, various resources were flowing into miracle commerce, so Chu Tian's group was the happiest cultivator. Taking out a bottle of pills from their pockets was enough to make normal rogue cultivators fight over them. The pills Meng Yingying ate every week was equivalent to the savings of a normal rogue cultivator in several years. Under these conditions, even if one's talent was mediocre, they could still become a peak expert. Of course, the ones he was purchasing now were mainly ordinary saint medicines. These sacred herbs could be refined into pills that could increase one's cultivation base, but they still needed to slowly grow and accumulate. A heaven and earth treasure that could allow a person to instantly break through 1 or 2 layers, even with Miracle Commerce's current wealth and channels, it was hard to buy it. This kind of thing required a certain amount of luck. After Chu Tian fought the Lich and swallowed the Star Marrow pill, as well as a period of cultivation, his cultivation base should have stabilized at the peak first true spirit layer. On this day, he suddenly felt that an opportunity had come. The opportunity to increase his cultivation base had come. Chu Tian didn't want to waste this state, so he immediately found a closed-door elder cave in the Black Moon sect. The heavenly Yin mountain was one of the great Zhou country's 6 great spiritual mountains. This kind of paradise was filled with spiritual energy and was suitable for cultivation, but Chu Tian didn't rely on the spiritual energy in the spiritual vein to increase his cultivation base. He took out an eye of the star and held it in his hand. The starlight immortal body began to circulate. Chu Tian felt an incomparably pure power of the stars seeping into his body along with the circulation of his cultivation technique. Chu Tian couldn't help but be covered in a layer of starlight. From weak to strong, from bright to dark, the intensity of the starlight became higher and higher. His entire body was covered in light from inside out, basically turning into a man of light. The eye of the star in his hand became smaller and smaller. The starlight energy from this eye of the star was enough to keep the transport tower running for 10 years. Now that it was all absorbed into Chu Tian's body, it attacked every cell in his body, changing every part of it. The color of the dazzling white light suddenly changed, as though it had melted into the air and disappeared. All of it transformed into a wave and was released. Hong! A large sound came from the top of the heavenly Yin mountain. Yin's spirit floated in front of a large barrel, happily looking at the 10 death servants being transformed by the divine blood. She was shocked by the large sound. Could it be that someone was attacking the mountain? Yin's spirit quickly flew out, floating 50 meters in the air. When she looked into the distance, there was a large mass of starlight exploding in the sky, instantly blooming into the horizon. A sea of stars appeared, spreading out like a beautiful painting. This strange scene attracted countless onlookers. The entire Black Moon sect was filled with curiosity and shock. They didn't know what was happening. Yin's spirit's little body floated in the air, just like a little doll wearing a red dress. She could feel the attribute of this power. Wasn't it the defensive cultivation technique those people cultivated? This kind of defense was not inferior to any of the perfection realm cultivation techniques Yin's spirit knew of. Could it be that this cultivation technique could become even stronger? What kind of powerful cultivation technique was this? Yin's spirit couldn't help thinking that if she could learn this cultivation technique, wouldn't she be able to use the Yin spirit scripture to give the death servants this kind of defense? The death servant's strength would definitely increase a step further. Heavenly Yin Mountain. On a quiet hillside. Chen Bingyu was sitting alone in a daze. In the past year, Chen Bingyu often felt that her family's bloodline was slowly recovering. In the battle a few days ago, she had finally awakened her family's bloodline. This could be considered her biggest harvest recently. When her bloodline was awakened, not only would Chen Bingyu's cultivation soar for a short period of time, the most important thing was that she could use the secret techniques and powers sealed in her bloodline, so her battle strength would not be the same as before. Her jet black hair had turned ice blue. This was a blue that was almost white, but it also looked like it was made of silver, like it had been frozen for millions of years. Her body was surrounded by cold air and cold air. It made her aura even colder, but it also added a bit of otherworldly beauty. This was the sign of the Great Zhou royal bloodline being completely awakened. Great Zhou royal family, Great Zhou princess, after living for so many years, she had almost forgotten that she had this kind of identity. When she escaped from the Great Zhou country in the past, she was only 17 or 18 years old. She thought that she would find a place where no one knew about her past and study martial arts until she died of old age. She never thought that after 18 years, she would come back like this. "Hey, big sister Bing, why are you watching the sunset alone?" A voice came from behind her. Who else could it be if it wasn't Chu Tian? Chen Bingyu turned around and found that Chu Tian was a bit different. His body was covered in a faint glow that couldn't be seen with the naked eye. Only Chen Bingyu, who cultivated the starlight immortal body, could feel it. "So the commotion just now was caused by you. It seems like your cultivation technique has broken through." Chen Bingyu stared at Chu Tian for a few seconds before saying, "Your cultivation seems to have broken through as well. When did this woman's insight become this strong?" That's right, the starlight immortal body had reached the perfection realm and his cultivation had reached the second true spirit layer. There was no longer an earth spirit cultivator that could be his match. "Can I sit down?" Chen Bingyu angrily said to this fellow taking off his pants to fart. "Can I say no?" Chu Tian impolitely sat down next to her. He began to chatter as soon as he sat down. "Big sister Bing, you're not honest. Why didn't you tell us about your past before? If we knew about this kind of grudge, we would have come to the Great Zhou country a long time ago. But it's not too late now, it's not a problem with our methods and abilities." Chen Bingyu knit her brows. Chu Tian asked, "What, is there something wrong?" Chen Bingyu's indifferent face revealed a trace of confusion. "Perhaps you don't know, but our family's bloodline is very special. Although it can give us strength, it has a large influence on a person's thoughts." Chu Tian did not find it strange. Sometimes cultivation techniques could affect one's thoughts, not to mention things like bloodlines, then what kind of influence would it have? Indifferent emotions, especially indifferent to friendly emotions. Family, friendship, love. Our family is like this. Chen Bingyu lowered her head and gave a slight sigh. When I first escaped from the great Zhou country, I still had a deep hatred, but it has already faded over the years. I can't remember the feelings my parents and brother gave me. Revenge? Although I have this obsession, I don't have the motivation to carry it out. This is also the reason why I never want to talk about these things. Moreover, I never thought that miracle commerce would become like this in such a short period of time. Chu Tian finally understood. Chen Bingyu had the coldest personality out of everyone. She didn't seem to have any interest in anything and she didn't like interacting with people. Other than studying martial arts and cultivation techniques, she didn't have any other hobbies. Chu Tian thought it was because of Chen Bingyu's nature or because of her previous experiences, but he never thought that it was inherited from her family. Actually, you don't need to worry about this. Chu Tian suddenly had a strange thought. With you by my side, is there a large chance of being cured? Chen Bingyu was a bit stunned. Cured? Chu Tian revealed a bad smile. Look at me, I'm so handsome, talented, and charming. You'll find that you unknowingly fall in love with me, wouldn't that be fine? Scram! Chen Bingyu waved her hand and the surrounding several feet were frozen. Chu Tian quickly jumped away. Damn, I was just joking. It's fine if you can't feel love, but your reaction to anger is too sensitive. Who said I can't feel love? Chen Bingyu didn't know if it was because of anger or something else, but her snow-white face was slightly red. Slow, just a little slow, do you understand? Chu Tian revealed a vigilant expression, like a rabbit being stared at by a grandmother wolf. You're saying that there's still a possibility of you falling in love with me? I'm warning you, I already have a girlfriend. Chen Bingyu saw his cheap and bad look and immediately felt a nameless anger in her heart. Go to hell. In a few minutes, the entire hillside was covered with icicles. Chu Tian was chased all over the mountain by this fierce woman and was in a sorry state. Just when the situation was getting bad, Meng Yingying used the communication device to contact him. It turned out that the transport tower had already been built. Chen Bingyu returned to her usual cold appearance. Go find your little lover. Chu Tian laughed out loud. Sister Bing, actually whether you're angry or happy, you're pretty cute, so don't keep a straight face all day, smile more when you have nothing to do. How can I smile when I see you every day? This sentence made Chu Tian choke quite a bit. This woman's mouth was really poisonous. Then be angry more, you're also pretty when you're angry. Chu Tian broke into a run after saying this, afraid that he would be attacked again. Chen Bingyu looked at Chu Tian's back as he left, her eyes slightly flashing a few times. She lightly sighed with a bit of worry and helplessness, and immediately followed. After a few days of hard work, Meng Yingying finally built the transport tower. The Black Moon sect's master Yin's spirit appeared with the elders surrounding her. She looked at the transport tower a few times and revealed a doubtful expression. This is what you want to build? What use does it have? Chu Tian inserted the eye of the star into it and the transport tower was activated. He turned around to look at Yin's spirit and said, cooperation cannot be without inspection. I want to invite the sect master to Miracle Commerce's headquarters. You want this one to go to the Great Summer Country? Wrong. Meng Yingying cut in and said with a proud face, our headquarters is in Miracle City, not the Great Summer Country. Miracle City is a city in the center of the Forest of Chaos. There wasn't a mistake. Forest of Chaos? The Black Moon sect's people were stunned. Miracle Commerce was in the Forest of Chaos, how was that possible? The center of the Forest of Chaos was over 100,000 miles away. How long would it take to make a round trip? Not to mention that the Forest of Chaos was very dangerous, even a spirit transformation cultivator couldn't guarantee a safe trip. Chu Tian patted the transport tower beside him. Sect Master doesn't need to worry, Miracle City also has transport towers. With 2 transport towers, no matter how far it is, we can instantly arrive. It is as convenient as going to our own toilet. These words shocked everyone. Ian's spirit's large black eyes revealed a look of shock. Could it be? This is the function of the transport tower. More than that. Chu Tian took out a scroll made from a fragment of the Eye of the Star. This is a transfer scroll that I personally made. During the process of making it, I set the coordinates of the transfer location. With this scroll in hand, no matter where we go, we can instantly return to the city, so this thing is called a city return scroll. Little sister sect master, do you know the value of the transport tower now? Chapter 937. The moment Qin Bingyu flew into the air, the spirit energy in her body poured out, turning into a large snowstorm that swept through the palace. The temperature dropped by several dozen degrees, making everyone feel like they were in the extreme cold. If these bystanders had such a strong feeling, then the pressure on the four great protectors, who were the targets of the attack, could be imagined. Tens of thousands of crystal-clear snowflakes released a glow, just like a rain of flowers falling from a pear garden. It was beautiful, but it also contained a strong sense of danger. Each snowflake was condensed from Qin Bingyu's source spirit. It was strong enough to freeze the spirit energy in the opponent's body, making them lose their battle strength. The four great protectors were blocked in a single move and had no choice but to temporarily avoid the power of the blizzard. Qin Bingyu's voluptuous body shot out from the entanglement of the snowflakes. The exhausted snowflake seemed to be attracted by a magnet and immediately condensed into two beautiful and exquisite snow dragons beside Qin Bingyu. She struck out with her palms and once again attacked the four great protectors. This silent, low-key, and unobtrusive woman really amazed the world with a single brilliant feat. Qin Bingyu also had the sacred light body, but her cultivation base was even deeper. Now that she was in the second true spirit layer, she was different from Meng Yingying, who only knew how to imitate. She was a genius with shocking battle talent. Her source spirit and talent were not below Central State's Chu Xinghe. The four protectors were not easy to deal with. Originally, they wanted to temporarily avoid the momentum, but they did not expect Qin Bing to be so strong. The four of them immediately struck out, and the two interweaving snow dragons were instantly blown to pieces, once again turning into snowflakes that filled the sky. The snowflakes were like a mountain of blades. Her figure moved like lightning. Qin Bingyu used 5-6 secret techniques in half a blink of an eye, attacking the four protectors of wind, fire, water, and earth. She charged forward with the power of the snowflakes, sending out a palm to each of them, forcing the four protectors back a step. Good. Meng Yingying couldn't help shouting, "Big Sister Bing is strong." Was there even a need to say it? Among the people Chu Tian trained, Nangong Yun's battle talent was the highest. With a god-level source spirit and a supreme cultivation technique, it was hard for Chu Tian to defeat her in the same realm without using his main source spirit. Next was Qin Bingyu and Dongfang Haoren. Qin Bingyu and Nangong Yun were both martial artists, but the difference between the two of them was that Nangong Yun worshipped pure martial arts, so she was a fighter and a destroyer. Qin Bingyu's goal was higher than Nangong Yun's. She pursued the true meaning of martial arts, treating martial arts as an art, not completely addicted to fighting and might. During Qin Bingyu's time in Miracle Commerce, she had listened to all of the Qilin Hall's lessons and had used Miracle Commerce's channels to collect large amounts of cultivation techniques and secret techniques. Every day, she would try to understand the various cultivation techniques and martial arts. Qin Bingyu's future battle strength could not compare to Nangong Yun's. But her attainments in martial arts were not something Nangong Yun could compare to. It could be seen from Qin Bingyu's moves. Qin Bingyu's moves were ever-changing and she could instantly use 4-5 different martial arts and cultivation techniques. It could be said that she had already absorbed Chu Tian's advanced knowledge and used it as a foundation to gather all the cultivation techniques and martial arts. Such a high comprehension. The four Black Moon protectors never thought that their joint attack would be blocked by a normal girl, and they immediately flew into a rage out of shame. What are you four doing? Use the 4-in-4 phase array. The four protectors were clearly excited. Their individual strengths were not inferior to Yang Miao's by much. Not to mention the fact that the four Black Moon protectors were inseparable. Although their cultivation techniques were different, they could perfectly combine, achieving a 1+1 greater than 2 effect. Most third true spirit layer experts were not their match. In this kind of 4 against 1 situation, how could they be afraid of a trivial female? The other elders and the 4 protectors knew how strong they were, so they didn't interfere. After all, the people here were all famous great Zhou experts and it wasn't a good reputation to bully someone with numbers. The 4 protectors gave up on Chu Tian and Meng Yingying because the 4 protectors could see that Chen Bingyu had the highest cultivation out of the 3 of them. They would kill the person with the highest cultivation first and there was nothing to worry about the others. One was covered in dark blue wind. One was covered in purple-red flames. One was covered in ash-black-yin water. One was covered in dark golden rock. The 4 of them suddenly moved as fast as ghosts, leaving behind countless afterimages. 4 colored beams of light interweaved and an array filled with a strange aura appeared. Chen Bingyu was trapped in this array and the 4 protectors each took a position. My sect's 4 protectors are 4 twin brothers, born as one. Their minds are connected and their innate talents are different, but they can help each other. The cultivation techniques they cultivate come from the same source, so the 4 of them are one, making their battle strength even stronger. Endless Yin saw that the array was complete and immediately relaxed. This trivial nameless person wants to break the 4 protectors. The 4 protectors all had rare elemental source spirits. This kind of source spirit was very hard to deal with, not to mention the seamless 4 elemental array. Chen Bingyu felt her strength being suppressed. The blizzard that was raging in the main hall was actually unable to break through the suppression of this array. The Black Moon sect really does have some skills. Meng Yingying indignantly said, "They are bullying us with numbers, I'm afraid elder sister Bingyu will suffer a loss." Don't be anxious. Chu Tian had indeed underestimated the Black Moon sect's strength. Chen Bingyu's strength was enough to fight 4 people of the same level, but the coordination between the 4 protectors was too perfect. It wasn't as simple as just adding up their numbers. But even like this, he was not in a rush to make a move because Chu Tian could vaguely feel that Chen Bingyu was hiding some other strength. Big Sister Bing won't be easily defeated. Chen Bingyu's spirit energy turned into a blizzard that was biting cold, but she was still trapped in the center of the main hall. No matter how fierce she was, she couldn't break through the 4 protectors' defenses. The 4 protectors had already begun to attack and suppress Chen Bingyu, but with the starlight immortal body and her powerful strength, she was fine for a while. This situation was very bad. 1 against 4 was consuming several times more spirit energy than the 4 protectors. If this continued, she would most likely lose because her spirit energy couldn't support it. At this time, the wind protector sent out a sharp wind blade. When Chen Bingyu dodged to the side, her black veil was lifted by the wind blade, revealing a cold and beautiful mature face. Chen Bingyu was already over 30 years old, but she looked like she was in her 20s. For her to have this kind of cultivation at her age, she could be considered a genius in the great Zhou country. Endless Yin sat on the high throne and said, "You have some skill. If you're willing to serve the Black Moon sect, this one will spare your lives." Humph. Chen Bingyu's eyes revealed a trace of anger. Countless snowflakes began to spin at high speeds, forming an incomparably large ice lotus. Countless flames, water bullets, wind blades, and earth spikes attacked, but before they could even land on Chen Bingyu, they were frozen and lost their power. Chen Bingyu formed a seal with her hands. A white and blue mark appeared between her brows. At this time, a power that seemed to have been sealed in her body suddenly surged out from Chen Bingyu's body. It made her spirit energy increase in a short period of time, gradually surpassing the strength of the second true spirit realm. What was going on? What was even stranger was that Chen Bingyu's originally jet black hair suddenly turned silver white at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chu Tian was also shocked. Bloodline power. Sister Bing has bloodline power. She's been by my side for so long and I didn't even notice. What a fucking failure. Bloodline power was a kind of power that came from the ancestors and bloodline. The Nangong family of the southern summer country believed in the immortal bird. Perhaps their ancestors were related to the immortal bird, so they passed on their power to their descendants. However, bloodline power had been passed down from ancient times until today. It would be buried for a long time, and the longer it was, the deeper it would be buried, to the point where it was basically impossible to awaken. Not only did Chen Bingyu possess the power of a bloodline, but she was also able to activate this ancient power. With the support of this power, Chen Bingyu's strength would skyrocket by several times. Descending ice river. The mark between Chen Bingyu's eyebrows released an even stronger light, and her slender white hands were already covered in blue ice flames. She pressed her hands into the air and large pieces of ice were released in all directions. It gave people a feeling like the air had been frozen and the entire space had been sealed. Retreat. Chu Tian pulled Mang Yingying with him as he teleported several hundred meters away. The place he was just in was instantly frozen. This ice was condensed from spirit energy, so there was no need to condense water into ice at all. Most of the space in the store was sealed, and the elders that couldn't escape in time, including the Flame Ghost and Ice Demon brothers, were all sealed by the terrifying ice. These people did not die. They were sealed. The 4 protectors wanted to escape, but it was already too late. The countless pieces of crystal like ice did not give them any chance. That terrified posture and the terrified expression in their eyes were perfectly preserved. Mang Yingying looked at the hall, and her mouth opened so wide that an apple could fit in, so powerful, a single move filled most of the hall with ice. You. The Black Moon Sect's Vice Sect Master Endless Yin's expression was not filled with shock and anger. He looked at Chen Bingyu in disbelief. You're the great Zhou royal princess that disappeared 18 years ago. You never expected it. Chen Bingyu's silver white hair danced in the wind, but her eyes were still as cold as before. The great Zhou royal family was slaughtered, and the last fish that escaped the net was able to live until today. Good, you didn't die 18 years ago, but you came to our door today. Endless Yin gave an angry roar and soared into the sky. He gathered endless demonic chi into a palm that shot out at Chen Bingyu. I'll kill you now. Pang! Endless Yin had a cultivation in the 3rd true spirit layer. Chen Bingyu did not have the strength to resist and was sent flying by the palm. Luckily Chen Bingyu did not have much spirit energy left, but she could still maintain the starlight immortal body, so this attack only caused a light injury to her. Stupid, truly stupid. It was hard for you to escape Great Zhou, and you had a fortuitous encounter, but you're in a rush to die in Great Zhou. Endless Yin stepped in the air with ghostly chi surrounding him. Since it's like this, I can't let you live. Endless Yin raised his hands high up, and a deep blue ghost head blade condensed. Dang! The blade and sword collided. Chu Tian appeared in front of Chen Bingyu and raised the netherworld sword to block this attack. When he was pushed back by Endless Yin's blade, he grabbed the injured Chen Bingyu and quickly moved to Yingying's side. Are you alright? There was a trace of blood on the corner of Chen Bingyu's lips, and her eyes slightly trembled. I'm alright, thank you. You're still a princess, I really was blind. Don't make fun of me. Chen Bingyu's eyes revealed a trace of bitterness. Chu Tian knew that Chen Bingyu's background was not normal, but now was not the time to ask about it. Leave big sister Bingyu to me. Mang Yingying used her movement technique to charge forward. The cultivators outside are about to kill their way in. There are so many of them and we can't beat them, so we can only run away. Run away? Are you stupid? Chu Tian gave a laugh. Haven't you noticed? The Black Moon Sect's elders and protectors are all hostages in our hands. We have the advantage. Do we need to run? Take care of big sister Bingyu. I'll beat this fellow up first. Chu Tian handed Chen Bingyu to Mang Yingying. His feet stepped off the ground and he flew into the air with his sword. When he reached the same height as Endless Yin, he circulated his spirit energy and said with a laugh, Ha, 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 the great Zhou Black Moon Sect is only this strong. Your elders and protectors can't even take a single hit. I'll have to experience the Vice Sect Master's strength. After saying this, Chu Tian instantly disappeared and a resplendent sword glow slashed at Endless Yin. This young cultivator from the southern summer country actually took the initiative to attack the Black Moon sect of the 6 great Zhou countries. Chapter 938. A large doubt in the hearts of the Black Moon sect's people was resolved. The reason they could cause such a ruckus in the Black Moon sect was because these 3 fellows had instant city return scrolls on them. If they met a bad situation, they could instantly escape. No matter how strong the Heavenly Yin Mountains array was, it was useless. There was no such thing as a space ceiling restriction on the continent. Unless they could kill the 3 of them before they could activate the scrolls. The 3 of them were not weak, so it was not a problem for them to escape unscathed. It was because they had this confidence that they were fearless. Little Sister Sect Master, do you understand the value of this transport tower? Chu Tian calmly said, during Miracle Commerce's expansion, the transport tower will appear in every corner of every country. If you have a transport tower early, the benefits it will bring is not something you can imagine. Even if you don't mention the large benefits the transport tower brings, if you use the sect's transport tower as a set of transport scrolls, it will be equal to having an extra life. No matter where you go, you will have enough protection. The Black Moon sect's people were stunned speechless. How on earth was such a heaven-defying thing made? Yin's spirit quickly weighed it in her heart. Was it worth exchanging a part of the Black Moon sect for the transport tower? There was no answer to this question, she could only take a look at Miracle Commerce's headquarters. That's what you said, who knows if the transport tower is really that useful? Facts speak louder than words. Little Sister Sect Master, please. This one will warn you one last time, you're not allowed to call me Little Sister. Alright, Little Sister. Yin's spirit angrily waved her sleeve as she walked into the transport tower. Chu Tian called Yingying and Chen Bingyu over. The transport tower lit up and the spatial energy covered the surroundings. The spatial energy began to vibrate. Was this thing really that mysterious? From here to the Forest of Chaos was several tens of thousands of kilometers. If Miracle Commerce's headquarters was in the center of the Forest of Chaos, it would be 5-6 times the distance. Even if Yin's spirit rode a high-level demon beast mount with her cultivation, it would still take her 5-8 days to travel. How could they travel this far in one go? There wouldn't be any danger during the transport, right? When Yin's spirit's mind was filled with random thoughts, her shoulder was suddenly patted by someone, Little Sister Sect Master. Little Sister, little your head. When Yin's spirit was about to explode. We're here. Ah. Yin's spirit was stunned. The spatial distortion around them returned to normal and the transport tower's light disappeared. This was a completely unfamiliar environment and scene. They were surrounded by flat grasslands and there were mountains in the distance. There were countless strange and exquisite castles in the mountains, making this place look like a fairy tale world. This place is... Meng Yingying saw the shocked expression on the little sect master's face and she immediately said with a smile, "Don't ask something you already know the answer to. This is Miracle Commerce's headquarters, Miracle City." This was Miracle City. Miracle City's transport tower was not far from the city lord's castle. Before Meng Yingying started the transport, she had already used the communication device to contact her elder sister. Meng Qinggu brought Vivian, Nangong Yun, and the others to welcome them. "Welcome back, boss, I missed you all to death." Nangong Yun was still very carefree as she gave a warm greeting. "Oh, that's right, welcome little sect master to Miracle City. I am Nangong Yun, boss confidant." This fellow only knew how to make connections. When did she become father's confidant? Yingying, big brother. This Vivian teleported over first and immediately grabbed Chu Tian and Yingying's hands. Was it fun outside? Teleportation. Innate spatial energy. Yin's spirit looked at Vivian and immediately knit her brows. This elven girl's cultivation was not weaker than hers and was even a bit stronger. Miracle Commerce actually had this kind of expert. Meng Yingying excitedly said, "Of course. Chu Tian brought me to play on the prairies. There was no end to the grass there and the sunset was very beautiful. We're done playing, so we'll go to the Great Zhou country. I'm so jealous. Vivian revealed a pitiful look. She was one of Miracle City's vice city lords, so her position was the same as Meng Qingwu's. Now that Chu Tian wasn't here and Meng Qingwu was very busy, there were many things in Miracle City that needed her to do, so how could Vivian do this? You must bring me next time, I'm already bored to death in the forest of chaos. Aunt Bing, your hair. Nangong Yun made a fuss out of nothing, why did it turn white? Chen Bingyu stared at her, didn't I tell you in the communication device? Nangong Yun gave an embarrassed smile, I'm still very surprised, but you seem to have become more beautiful and younger. It seems like I can't call you Aunt Bing in the future, I'll call you elder sister like Boss and the others. No one treated Chen Bingyu as an elder, only Nangong Yun's situation was a bit special. Chen Bingyu had come to Imperial City several years ago and Nangong Yun had met the 20-year-old Chen Bingyu when she was 4 or 5. Naturally she had the habit of calling her this, so she couldn't change it. Up to you. Alright, the guest is here, you can talk about this later. Meng Qingwu had already walked over at this time. She arrived in front of Yin's spirit who still hadn't recovered and cupped her hands in greeting, Hello Sect Master Yin, I am Miracle Commerce's Vice Chairman and Miracle City's Vice City Lord Meng Qingwu. Chu Tian has offended you in the heavenly Yin Mountains, so I apologize for him. We have prepared a reception in the City Lord's castle, so please come with us Sect Master. Yin's spirit seemed like her soul had left her body. After being stunned for a while, she said, does it only take an instant to return to the Black Moon sect from here? Is little sister Sect Master afraid of not being able to return? Chu Tian smiled as he looked at Ying, since it's like this, why don't you take her for a spin first? Understood. Elder sister, give me half a minute. We'll quickly go and return. Meng Ying pulled Yin's spirit's hand and patted the transport tower, Sect Master, let's go. Yin's spirit did not react in time. The teleportation light suddenly brightened. When everything calmed down again, she found that she had appeared in a magnificent hall. She was surrounded by barbarian guards. Ah, isn't this Sir Meng Ying? A barbarian berserker captain quickly bowed, you came to the Great Summer Country for official business? No, I'm just looking around, there's no need to be so polite. Meng Ying said to Yin's spirit, this is the Great Summer Country, we're returning to the heavenly Yin Mountains now. Great Summer Country. Yin's spirit's mind did not have time to think. There was a flash of light. Why did Sect Master come back? Sect Master, your expression is not right. What happened? What did you do to our Sect Master? Meng Ying revealed 2 cute dimples from her smile, Sect Master, do you want to try again? Yin's spirit was already completely convinced, no need, let's go back to Miracle City. The Black Moon sect's people did not understand what was going on before the two of them disappeared from the transport tower. In just a breath's time, the thousands of miles disappeared and they were transported to Miracle City once again. When everyone saw Yin's spirit's expression, they knew that this fellow was completely convinced. Meng Qingwu said, Sect Master Yin must have seen Miracle Commerce's spatial transport technology. Actually the spatial transport technology is just one of Miracle Commerce's many miracles, you have enough time to inspect Miracle City. That's right, little sister Sect Master. Nangong Yun said with a laugh, staying here for a few days will definitely change your view of the world. You'll find how boring the world you lived in before was. Everyone returned to the City Lord's castle. Chu Tian had left Miracle City for around half a month and Miracle City had changed a lot, at least it looked very orderly. Meng Qingwu had made a separate area in the castle and this was the control center of the city. The first place they visited was here. This was because Miracle Commerce's first intelligent source energy matrix was placed here. Yin's spirit was surprised to find that there wasn't a single pillar here. It was around 100 meters long and 50 meters wide, with several giant black boxes in the center. There was a spiritual body floating in the center of these black boxes and there were over 103-meter-tall mirrors around it. Each mirror showed a different image, some of the forest, some of the castle, but in short, it was all the interior of Miracle City. Zero respectfully greeted everyone when he saw them. Miracle City's manager Zero greets the city lord and vice city lord. Is there anything you need me to do? Zero had intelligence and no emotions. This was all simulated by Meng Qingguo. Yin's spirit was very curious. A spiritual life form with intelligence? How did you make it? Zero replied in a cold voice. This question involves Miracle Commerce's top secret. Your Excellency does not have the authority, so I cannot answer it for you. Yin's spirit revealed a strange expression. Why does this intelligent spiritual body look so strange? Chu Tian could see a few things about the central control room, but he wasn't sure, so he directly asked, what is going on here? Sir Vice City Lord has set up over 200 fixed monitoring points around Miracle City, 100 mobile patrol points, and the Heaven's Eye airships monitoring points for the various large areas. The images and data will all be sent here for me to control and analyze, allowing me to control the changes in the city. How is this possible? Yin's spirit was very curious about the image transmission ability on one hand, but she had seen the use of the transport tower before, so this wasn't enough to scare her. Only she was very suspicious of Zero's words. Even if this spiritual body has intelligence, how can it observe all these places at once? Meng Yingying said, you don't know, right? Zero is not just a spiritual body with intelligence, he is also a super powerful smart brain with a powerful computing ability. He can accurately calculate 1 billion times per second, so his information processing ability is not something we living beings can compare to. 1 billion times? Yin's spirit didn't have this concept at all. Chu Tian then asked Zero, does this have any other functions? Other than the monitoring function, I also have the city management function. Zero said in a fixed manner, I can connect to the radio and communication systems, allowing the citizens to directly communicate with me. Whether it is inquiries, requests for help, or disputes, I can handle them all. Because I have the authority to control the city's defense and security forces, I can directly mobilize the garrison and patrol teams, using the city's security resources to deal with all kinds of emergencies. Other than that, the city's non-strategic and strategic documents will all be sent to me for analysis and approval. Meng Yingying was stunned. This was just too shocking. A single Zero smart brain could surpass an outstanding administrative and management team in Miracle City. Chu Tian rubbed his chin, I think your use shouldn't be limited to this. That's right, City Lord, but my processing ability is limited, so I can only do this for now. How much do you think you need to strengthen it to be competent for the other tasks? If the source energy matrix can be strengthened by another 5 times, I can connect to the Miracle Shopping Center, the spiritual network, the transport tower, Miracle Banking, and the space warehouse. I can control the shopping centers, banks, transport towers, and space warehouses from the highest terminal, creating the spiritual network, and etc., ensuring the normal operation of the important platforms. If my source energy matrix can be strengthened by 20 times, I can connect to the Yunsek's laboratory and participate in the complex experiments, creating a stable virtual spiritual world. Chu Tian nodded, without considering the size. Adding a few more source energy matrices, it wouldn't be hard to increase it by 5 to 20 times. Young miss, tell Central State to hurry up. Do you even need to say this? Meng Qingguo rolled her eyes at him, I've already given the order. This was simply a god. This was everyone's only evaluation of Zero.